Okay, it's 9 a.m. and I'm going to call to order the February 10th Costa Mesa Sanitary District Study Session to order and get a roll call from the clerk, please.
Thank you. Director Cheyenne Wright. Here. Director Nicole Wiltshire. Here. Secretary Arthur Perry.
Here.
Vice President Robert Uden.
Here.
President Michael Schaefer.
Here, thank you. Public comments. This is the time for public comments. And seeing no one in the audience except one of our speakers, we'll close public comments and move to item C, items of study and a Discovery Cube education update.
Thank you, Mr. President. Marissa's going to introduce our keynote speaker today.
Good morning, President and members of the board. This morning, Isabel Rios, Director of Partner Relations with Discovery Cube, is here to give an overview of the Greener Pathways program that they've been conducting assemblies for in our local schools. So she'll give an overview of the program and then kind of an update as to where we are right now with the program. Isabel, thank you for being here.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for having me here today. You can hear me? Okay.
Gotcha.
Great. Well, we're here to provide an update. I work very closely with the staff, and we were contracted to do educational outreach to schools within the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. So we're doing grade levels that weren't being done last year. Last year, I don't know if you remember, I made a presentation. So here today, I'm going to give you an update of the program and how well it's going, and how well received it's being by the teachers at the schools as well. So with that, I'll go to the next slide. Okay. So what do we do? Discovery Cube, one of our major core initiatives, in which I'll go on to the next slide, but what we really do is we inspire. We inspire kids, we educate kids, but the main thing also through those emphasis is for us to educate the kids and make a difference. So, and this is really our mission statement, but that is always our effect because of how we do our STEM education outreach, which I will provide you an update on the next page. Okay. So what's unique about Discovery Cube and what we have been able to do on our core initiatives, we have 4 of them. We do STEM efficiency. We also do early learning education for children at Discovery Cube and at assemblies in schools, and healthy living. And the 4th one is environmental stewardship. We really want to talk the message about the environment, and that's what we're doing here with Costa Mesa Sanitary District 2 is really to be able to talk about the environment, how they can learn about it and take that behavior home and as well as school. And so because when we go to schools, we are required to really follow the quality and requirements of STEM because it's a science-based education program that we do at the assembly school programs. And so I won't touch too much onto it, but how do we do it? And you'll find here that we do everything through our exhibits that we have there at Discovery Cube, where families can come and they learn, or even through field trips where students come with their teachers. We have a great measurement tool that we keep track, which you'll get to see in a few slides from now, and outreach programs. I think the outreach is so key in being able to bring awareness of what we do on an ongoing basis at schools and at Discovery Cube. And curriculum resources. We have great curriculum resources. Our teachers, our educators, which you'll find here, are professionals. We train the teachers. We let the teachers know the emphasis of the program, and they can actually educate that to their students as well. And when we talk about on-site programs, it's really about the field trips and assemblies that I mentioned, and community engagement. I think one of the uniqueness about this year, we were able to come here and do community engagement at your annual event, and it was amazing, great turnout. We were able to educate the families that came in that event and talk about what the initiatives we're doing about SB 1383. We had a composting worm bin there where kids were learning on how, what's the importance and why we're here. So that's our core initiatives. Our next slide here, it's really what are we doing? So it's grade specific. We have for our partnership this year is really about interactive in-class assemblies that we're doing. Students are learning about SB 1383. They have specific booklets for their age grade levels, and I'll talk a little bit more about the age grade levels and what the programs look like in the next few slides. But online family information that's available, we gauge, we want to know feedback from families, what do they think, so we do conduct surveys, and we do conduct surveys in the assembly program as well, and with the teachers. The incentive for us is we give free child coupons to the students, and actually brought some of them here that you can take, but they're free child admission coupons that they can go with their parents. We also sometimes give them, depending on the teacher, what they want, give them free tickets so that they can come back on us with their parents as well. Next slide. Okay. So this is the unique part. This is where I think that we really gauge what the students learn, what they know, pre and post tests. We have the first grade levels and second grade levels. We call it Our Beautiful Earth. It's the curriculum. And then we have the fourth grade level, which is Eco Warriors. And then we have the Champions of Change, which is fifth grade levels. And you'll find here in our study, which was really unique because we want to know, what do the kids know when we start each of their programs? And we noticed that pre-questioning, some kids got 88%, but and some children got the incorrect answers. But the post questions at 88%, we ended up going up to 100%. So even though that some of them already knew, 88%, kids are smart. And we got to 100%, and that's the data we were able to recover, if you can see here on the pie chart. On the Eco Warriors, as kids get a little bit older, we ask the questions are a little bit more challenging. And so we asked the questions, and the questions what we got were 42 answers were correct. And after the curriculum, after the activities, the interactive education program that we did, the post answers through the programs were correct, went up to 83%. So as you'll see that we have number of students for each of those columns here. So the first one for our Beautiful Earth, we had 157 students. Second, Eco Warriors for fourth grade levels, we had 76 students. And then for our third one, which is fifth grade, we had a total of 61 students that participated in the program. So as the kids get older, they learn their stronger questions, and the programs are a little bit more difficult, but they do take some input and take the program back with them when they go back home with their parents and their teachers as well. Next slide. Data. I told you we're data driven. We ask the teachers, we want to know, what do the teachers think? And we want to get their input because we need to improve if something's not going right. So we did the teacher surveys. As I mentioned, these are the number of students for each of the programs that we conducted. We have a 5-point scale. And on that 5-point scale, we were at 4.50, 4.50, and 4 point. And then we got feedback. What is it that we need to do? Would they like the class? Do they want the class to be smaller? Things like that. But here it was very positive. As teachers are tough in grading, so they don't always want to give an A, but we do get feedback, which was really good. And we do have the Eco Challenge pamphlet here that's given to the students so that they can take that home and share it with their parents as well. And next slide. So where do we stand right now? This one's really where we started the program last year. Our quota are supposed to be 1,850 students. There you go. So our goal is to reach 1,850 students. We are actually at 81%, and we still have not finished the school year yet. We have until June. And so happy to say that we're at 1,499 students. As you can see the trends, that's how we measure. And what we do is you'll find here that we have bookings. So for April, February, March, and May and June. So we have students that are booked. We may end up getting even more, but this is what we do in advance because teachers only have certain times of the months for us to come in and do the assemblies. So we are actively calling. We have an assigned representative, and we will be increasing those numbers. But I do want to share that we are on track and looking forward to achieving our goal of 100%. Next slide. So this is where I kind of already explored a little bit, but the education and outreach partnership we have with the Costa Mesa Sanitary District is really to discover the wonders of our diverse ecosystem. So it's a lot of information is here, but we explore about recycling. It's not just bottles and cans. This year we added organics, the importance of separating through the feedback with Costa Mesa Sanitary District staff, Marissa and her team. We added some additional education elements to it where the children could see that what they have at their curbside, and not only about knowing what recycling is for organics and bottles and cans, but also how to separate at home as well. So our initiatives is to talk about SB 1383 based on their age grade level. It can be simplified, it can be much more complicated once they get a little bit older. But what the instructor does is she'll talk about the program, she'll do the interactive activity with the kids, and the conduct, like I mentioned, all the post and pre-test. But we report this information on an ongoing basis to sanitary district staff, because the data that is collected and that what we do, Costa Mesa Sanitary District can report this back to the state and saying we're doing education. And that is one of the elements that the state requires, is for community and schools and students to be educated about what the importance of diversion is and learning about organics as well. So it's very key because they can get our report and add it into their annual electronic report as well. Next slide. Which we know CalRecycle is very strict. But this concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions from the board. Yes.
Do you give the students any things like refrigerator magnets or pieces of paper, to remind them of the concepts that you're trying to teach them?
Yes, actually, there's on one of the slides there's a pamphlet that they take, and it's called the Eco Challenge. And so if you can go back, there we go. This pamphlet is taken home, and they learn about, greens, water, air, but the importance of food waste. So we hand that over. We also send it over to the teacher electronically, so that if she wants to, she can print them out at the school as well.
Because we have mailers that go out to the residents that show them what to put in each bin. And my hope is that sometime we also, that could be made available.
If we can have something, we'll be happy to hand it out. If there's a magnet from the sanitary district, we'll be happy to do that. But what we did do, and we added something which has to do with the 3-cart system. There is a slide in the education program element that we added with the feedback of the staff. And it shows what they need to separate at home. It's not just the curbside cart, but also the multifamily bin.
Because at the Eco Fair, you were at a booth, so you may not have seen our booth. We had 2 booths. One was, I think, a handout of what goes in what bin, what cart. And then the next thing was an interactive student being given a piece of something, and they would choose which cart it went in. So, I thought that was a very good system.
Absolutely. And that is one of the curriculums. We actually have the students participate. We take prompts to the assembly program where they learn how to identify what they need to separate into which bin. So we do that activity. We don't have like a bin, but we have containers that are labeled composting, recycling, waste, And then we actually have these children separate the materials and learn from it and make it engaging for them at the assembly program. But I love to, any materials that that are already created, we'll be happy to hand those out at the school assemblies.
Well, and to finish what I'm talking about, um, I think we showed them, you showed them what goes in each bin.
Mhm.
But I don't believe we gave them the flyer. I'm not sure that you have to ask staff.
Well,
So when the child missed, I was watching that, and when the child missed where, what was to be put in the proper bin, I suggested that they, give them the flyer, to take home, or something that would reinforce that knowledge.
We'll be happy to do something like that. Absolutely. Add that into our program, and so that we don't have to create something separately. It's already created, and they can take that as a take home besides this flyer.
Well, we have additional flyers and whatnot, so.
Yes. Yes. But thank you. I like that recommendation. We will definitely take that.
Level of I'm sorry, the level of engagement with the teachers. So the teachers like to have you come in and do an assembly because it gives them a break from their, right? And
Yeah.
the kids like the break to go to the assembly. Um, do you have anything built into it to follow up or to see what happens after the assembly? Other than obviously you do a survey. I mean,
Right.
is that survey done a week later, 2 weeks later,
A month later.
a month later?
Yes, yes, because
Okay.
what we do is right after the course, we send it out to them electronically, and they have a month to respond
To the teacher direct,
directly
not
to
to the school principal or
no,
anybody that
directly with the
might direct
teacher.
it somewhere else.
Mhm.
Are you successful in getting those back?
We have to initially really call back. If they don't respond, we call back and we request. But yes, we've been successful.
The other side of the, buying into this, and I'm a big proponent, I've always said that if we're gonna change recycling habits and all of that, it's not, the kids are gonna be the ones that direct it. Your idea of giving them something that they can take home and show to their parents is kind of what I'm shooting at. But is there any way to judge? I guess the judge is going to be how much stuff goes into our bins.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
But we really don't know what the kids are doing. When my kids came home from school, they never brought good stuff. It was always something I probably didn't want to see, right?
Hmm.
And notes from the teacher or the principal or whatever, or from Mr. Perry. No way to really judge how the parents are receiving it, other than what we're gonna see in our percentages and things like that, I would guess.
Yes, that would be on your actual amount of materials that are collected and diverted, which is what you do at the curbside, and how that tonnage trend
Exactly.
can go down. And but this is actually unique in the way that it takes time. It takes time to change behavior, and but educating the kids at a young age, and a lot of these kids will do similar to when I was in school. I remember it was learn how to reduce the amount of water you use, your usage. That's what we're doing here. The only difference is it's about recycling and changing the behavior. And typically, the child, the student, is the one who educates the parents. Oh, don't let it go in there. I learned this today. Throw it into this bin, Mom. And oh, we need to start separating at home. The one great thing is that that's what kids remember, and that they can share that with their parents, and they will. Is it hard to track that? Yes. I don't know what they say at home, but it's about the tonnage reports that you receive from.
By the way, it's not only just kids and their parents that go to your facility. I have grandkids that have drugged me there, probably because I buy lunch after we're done.
I think your wife could have made you go.
She was part of it. You guys, you have a great facility. And the educational component is a little bit subtle, but it's still, the kids are getting it. And the people the grandparents and everybody who goes to the scary, The only problem I have is that your refuse area, it's all green and yellow.
That's the Race to Recycle? Yes,
Yeah.
the Race to Recycle exhibit. Yes, it depends on the sponsor who's.
I get it. Anyway, I just want to
Yeah.
compliment you guys. Run a really good show up there. It's really.
Yes. And for those who have not gone there, I have some free child admission coupons I'm going to leave behind here. I also have some tickets that I requested, and that's tickets for each of the board members. So they're for free, and it's for adults and for children. So a set of 4 tickets will be distributed to the board and to those who are guests here as well. And
I
the
just-
question, yes, sir.
I just had a thought about the cube itself. You know, like Bob was talking about having a magnet or something that shows, but could you provide a piece of paper that doesn't cost very much to people that come in that can take those with them?
It's
What goes in each one of the containers?
See, this is we have so many multiple partners in different jurisdictions. And so when the parent comes in lives in the Costa Mesa Sanitary District community, it's really hard to track.
Well, not named Costa Mesa, just because everybody has to put the same things in the 3 carts. Don't list Costa Mesa, just have it as a handout.
And I appreciate you saying, I'm going to communicate that back to my leadership and let our CEO know. But we did upgrade the exhibits, and we have a 3-cart system there where right by the Race to Recycle, OC Waste and Recycling sponsored this upgrade where there is a video, and while they're in that dedicated area, there is a composting bin that was installed, as well as a 3-cart system for organics, waste, and for recycling materials. We have that activity there in that area. That's area that's new. It's made a difference. It wasn't there before. And then we have at the Outdoor Owl, which is an organics waste lab where the kids can go and they do the interactive activity. What we try to do is really keep from creating materials that they can drop on the floor, because typically if we give them something, it may end up on the floor. They may not take it. They may forget it. But there are so many different interactive activities that they get to have that experience in different through the different exhibits that we have there. And it's a large exhibit. Eco Challenges has 4 exhibits along with.
I've been there many times, like.
Yeah. But I will communicate that to my leadership team, because probably what we can do is they come in, we can actually give them a QRC code where it's not a paper. There's, hey, here's some information you can take home, and then talk about that. So I'll communicate that. I think that's much easier. We've done that in the past with the city of Santa Ana, and so we're happy to, communicate that to the staff and see if we can do it
That's good.
for those who do come in.
Thanks.
And I'll let you guys know on the next update.
We have a consultant do waste composition studies for us for various parts of the community. So I think ultimately what we would like, we could either share that with you or condense it down. Melissa could condense it down to what areas we need to emphasize,
Mhm.
which part of the cart systems we need to emphasize. But how many trash companies are sponsoring your program? Is it just one?
Only one. And
Okay.
actually, it's not, it's only OC Waste and Recycling is the sponsor for all of the Eco Challenge exhibits. They're the major sponsor. Because they're the ones who gave us the funding to develop those exhibits. It was actually a $4.5 million investment. And then we continuously upgraded as a major sponsor. However, we do have haulers that have reached out that want to, for example, change the color of the truck, get it more relevant. But it takes time. Not a lot of them have funding to release for anything like that. But OC Waste has a budget, and they receive the funding through AB 939 funds that they collect at the landfills, which is a gate fee for those who do come into the landfill at St. Paul.
Their major sponsor just had a huge golf tournament. So they have tons of money to.
Yeah. Did you participate?
No, it was in Phoenix. So
I know.
I have a question for staff. If we go to the staff report, remind me how the schools participate. Are they invited? Do we contact them?
So Discovery Cube is doing extensive outreach. They have a team that's dedicated to reaching out to the schools, reaching out to the teachers, letting them know about the program. And then there's a website that teachers can go to and actually make their booking.
So it really is up to the teacher as to which, there's a school missing here that my grandkids go to, and they're pretty active in this kind of thing, so I was surprised. The other question on the staff report, what is ISAAC charter school?
It's International School of
It's at
Science
Harper.
and Culture, I think.
Is that
It's
one
the
of
school at Harper. Yeah, it's the multilingual
Okay.
charter school.
Okay, I'd never seen it abbreviated before, so,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, obviously,
Is that new?
they're the, what, second largest participants? And that's, that's great. I mean, that's where the money needs to go, so, okay.
And if you have a school that you want us to focus on and you have a teacher's name, we'll call out. We'll reach out. And sometimes they get so busy, they don't call us back, but we'd be happy to do that for the schools that you're.
Well, when I asked my two granddaughters if they got to go on an assembly or a field trip, and they tell me no, they'll drive it, don't worry.
Okay.
My daughter-in-law is involved with the PTA, and I don't know if the PTAs get involved. I don't think so.
I don't think the PTA is contacted so much as the teachers themselves.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, I do. Thank you so much. What other school districts in Orange County are you guys going to?
We are going Santa Ana Unified School District. We're in Tustin. We're actually regionally and throughout a lot of different school districts. But the one that come in mind right now, which is one of the largest, is Newport Mesa is also
Cool.
a school district that we are reaching out to. And but throughout all Orange County, it depends. But
Do other school districts pay you guys directly for this, or is it also a special district coming in?
it is actually, thank you for asking that question. Schools don't have funding. So the funding really comes from a partner. Like Mission Viejo is a partner. They are the ones who are paying for us to go into their schools within their jurisdiction. So when we have a city
The
that,
city?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
because we have Mission Viejo, we have City of Santa Ana, City of Anaheim, they have their funding. So when they're funding it, we do assembly programs depending on their budget. They sometimes also offer field trips.
Mhm.
So it all depends on the package, but we're pretty much throughout Orange County and several other districts.
That's great. Yeah. And I did the math and it's $16 per kid is kind of the ROI we're looking at. And I think that's a great long-term investment. Yeah, what they were kind of insinuating is we have been doing these studies where we randomly pick different neighborhoods, and West Side is is the best neighborhood, and that's where most of the schools that you guys are coming into are.
Uh-huh.
But then that kind of leads me to wonder what is maybe the biggest reason that other schools or teachers don't participate, so that we can kind of get an idea of maybe why.
I think what we can do come next year, this is our first year, and sorry, I apologize about that. But what we can I can talk to my team and talk to the person who oversees all of the bookings and let him know, because I'll give you an example. We have the city of Anaheim, and the city of Anaheim told us, we want you to focus on these districts. And they gave us the name of the schools, and they had contacts there. So we do that. So if there is an area that is underperforming and there's a certain school that you want us, I can communicate that to our account manager, and then we can start focusing on that area as well.
Cool, yeah, and we can always deliver that information too, to sort of bolster the motive for everyone involved, you know?
Yeah, and I can ask those questions. And
I also think it being a free program is why it's more attractive to certain schools versus not, because it is a really wealthy area too. So different PTAs have different, you know, fundraising powers to do fun events and all that, where it just might not be as attractive. But yeah, Newport Mesa has quite a massive budget. So
yes.
hope you guys have good luck there as well, because the Newport schools could use it too. Okay, cool. Yeah, the online family survey for home habits, if there's any way that we could get access to that information, I think that would be super helpful too. Because yeah, we're in this like first 12 months of figuring out the 3-bin system and behavior and all that, trying to understand people. So is that something you guys would be able to share with us?
I'll find out
That
from
kind
my,
of data?
my
Okay.
team, the educators. Yes.
Awesome. And then, yeah, we have amazing, like our magnets are really popular and our compost bins are really popular too. So if there's room in our budget, maybe for like the top performing students or the kids that like win a challenge or something, to gift those to them, to the people that are the reps that are going to the schools, I think that would be great. And then last question for staff, how much is left in the SB 1383 grant fund?
For this particular program, we have a little under $30,000 set aside. We have funds set aside for other projects, programs, or consultant education. So for this particular program, it's $30,000.
Yeah, what's for the total for, because I know we started with 300 in 2020.
I want to say a little bit over 100,000, but I can get you a better number if you want.
Cool. Yeah. I want to put a pin in that later, though. We can, I want to hear about that more. But okay, cool. Well, I think this is a good long-term investment in changing the behavior of our community. I like that it's something we offer to, I feel like it's an investment in our students and in our schools. So I'm a big fan. And I think it's a lot cheaper and more effective than, like, say we had a program here and we tried convincing the schools to come here and making our space fun here. Like, let's not try to beat what the Discovery Cube can offer, which is already like a million times better. And let's just work with such an amazing partner. So yeah, thank you for the info and the tickets. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
I have one more question. Scott, is this a 1-year program or extended program for over a number of years?
Correct me if I'm wrong, right now it's a 1-year program, but we're looking at extending it for another
Okay,
year.
good. I think that.
So it was currently set to expire end of March. We've extended it through the end of May because the grant term was extended. So we're extending it through the end of this school year, but the SB 1383 expenditure term ends November 1st. So if we were looking to fund it past this school year, we would need to look at using alternate funding. We wouldn't have the grant funds available any longer.
You can't extend those grant funds another?
No, they've extended it already to that November 1st. I mean, I guess it's a possibility CalRecycle could extend it, but it's not a guarantee, and I doubt that they will extend it again.
Something just we have to look at and see what happens.
Once we get to summer, there's no activity through this program, is there?
No.
Schools are obviously not in, so
Correct.
there's no summer programs or outreach that gets done.
No.
You have activities at the Cube.
Right,
all
correct.
around.
Yeah, we do have activities at the Discovery Cube. What we can do is provide the free child admission coupons, maybe where if your families come and visit your office here, they can take a coupon and go on the summer. But yeah, we can, they're welcome to come during the summer as well. We have a lot of guests that do come in, but we do that when we put our free child admission, we track that as well. But it's hard to track when it's coming from your district. It's just because it's not a code.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a free child admission coupon, and it's tracked and reported throughout the year.
Up the good work.
One last question. Do we submit to OC Recycling what our grant is hopefully covering?
We submit to CalRecycle. We have to report what we're using the funds for to CalRecycle.
So we could ask for more or different.
So the amount was set when the grant was initially, when we were approved for the grant a few years ago. That is our expenditure amount. There, as far as I know, there aren't any plans for that to be expanded or for CalRecycle to issue an additional grant. I think at this point, what we know is that this is the last grant that we'll see for SB 1383. Like I said, that could change. They could announce something new, but at this point, we haven't heard that there's going to be any new grant funding.
And we need to spend the remaining 100K by November
Correct,
of this year.
correct.
Okay.
We'll be happy to do that.
Yeah.
Right
If you
back.
guys are, hopefully, maybe there could be a closing of the gap, say, we don't renew, but then by next school year, Newport Mesa is bringing the program to life. So if you ever are doing like a presentation to the school district or school board or anything, and you need like a good example of like the pilot program you've done here, or need staff to like make a letter of recommendation to the school district, then like I think we would be happy to do that. So we work a lot with the school district. So yeah, hopefully that works out
Yeah, and-
timing wise.
Yes, and they were very hard for us to let us go in. We were thankful we've been able to go into their school, but I appreciate you communicating that, and I will, definitely share that with them when the requirements come in place. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time this morning to be with us. You do a good job with this, and we appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. I mean, it's unique, and I'm glad that we're able to collaborate with your sanitary district and make it happen. And I like what you shared. Your feedback is always very important for us. And I'll talk about the waste characterizations that you're doing to identify your routes, and I can definitely communicate that with Marissa and Scott and see where we can go with that and reach those schools that need help. You're welcome.
Thank you, Isabel.
You're welcome.
All right, code enforcement report, David?
Good morning, President Schaefer, members of the board. I'm here this morning to present my report for the month of January 2026. This report summarizes major points for 3 ordinance enforcement topics covering scavenging, graffiti, and trash container enforcement. For the month of January, the CMSD Code Enforcement Officer focused his efforts on patrols in various parts of the community. The goal is to identify and deter incidents of scavenging and residential trash carts left within the public view. In the month of January, the district saw multiple number of complaints filed with CMSD code enforcement staff regarding scavenging activity in the city. As with most scavenging complaints, the alleged violations take place in the early morning hours. In order to address resident concerns, the code enforcement officer is patrolling the streets by 6:30 a.m. Listed below are incidents of scavenging that were detected by the officer while investigating specific complaints. In the month of January, I found 4 scavengers listed by the maps. Center Street, Ponderosa, Clearbrook, in Nevada. Any questions on that? These were all first contacts. One of them was a multiple contact, but took off on me. Unfortunately, the bike trail is very close to this location, and that's that. Any questions on those? Trash container enforcement for the month of January. There were a few customer complaints reported to the district's headquarters regarding trash carts in public view. The following a list of locations where trash cart violations were found and addressed by the courtesy notice process. 174 violation notices listed by the streets, and how many violation notices on that street. Any questions on that?
Yeah, what do you think's going on Santa Ana? 24 cart violations.
Trying to
Anything
curb that problem.
Yeah,
Uh,
anything specific you think is causing?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, again, one of those where I'm trying to deter this activity, but
Yeah.
it's difficult sometimes. I mean,
Maybe it's just the density on Santa Ana.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, again, I mean, a lot of those are, you know, like, they've taken a lot and put 6 houses where one houses used to be, and so maybe the guy in the very end doesn't wanna, you know, go out there and grab his carts, it's difficult. But in some of those cases, the trash truck can't access, it's not feasible for him to back out of a community like that
For sure, yeah.
and risk, you know, the community and, you know, their assets. And then the last is a map of where I've located those scavengers within the community, if that's helpful at all. But that'll finish my report. Any questions from that? Yes, sir.
I walk a lot on Baker, from Harbor over past the library. And I think there's at least 2 places there. One's a new homeowner, and the other one has been in that residence a long time. And they leave their trash carts either on the parkway or right in front of a
Excuse me.
camping thing. So
It's on private property.
one's in the park, one's trash cans are in the parkway, and one's, you know, on private property.
I'll get that address.
And the ones in the parkway are new. You know, they have a Bentley and they can afford a handyman to move their
say,
trash cans.
I was gonna say the handyman or the butler has been out yet.
Somebody's falling short. I mean, I've thought, you know, you just pay the neighbor a couple bucks every week and he'll do it for you. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me know those addresses and I could follow up, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, back in, yeah, you're right.
You know, what's interesting is with all the stuff we've gone through on Placentia with the bike lane and Placentia's not on here anymore. They must be doing their diligence.
They've gotten a lot better. I mean, I'll be out there this
Yeah,
morning to make sure that their trash day was yesterday. So again, I'll follow up this morning and see where we're at. with
Usually
that.
there's only one when I drive by, there's only one that's still out there. All right. But I didn't go by today yet.
Well, I mean, it's been effective then. I've been, you know, citing them and not citing, but tagging them and to try to curb that problem. And a lot of them have cooperated.
So the window of time, what's the earliest you can put your trash out and what's the latest it can stay?
The ordinance is right here in the first few pages of the
Midnight
report.
the day of, and then stored the midnight the day it gets collected.
Correct.
I put mine out too early, technically, according to that rule.
It's been some issues and I've been trying to educate.
Who does that need stuff?
Because who wants to take their trash out right before going to work?
And again, you know, I mean, maybe you don't come home and you're the only one that can do it until after 4 o'clock or something. And by that time, you're going to be missed. So
Yeah.
there's an exception to the rule in some cases. I'm trying to deter some of this problem going on Santa Ana, where a lot of those communities that I'm talking about, they just don't want to see their trash cans wherever they're storing them. So they put them out a day early. I've seen Wednesdays out on Tuesday mornings and I've hung many tags. Some of these from last month were out early. And so I'm trying to curb that issue as well. I think after a lot of those, I only see a few of them that was out, you know, on Tuesday morning for Wednesday. So
Yeah.
it's been working. But thank you. Anything further?
Job as usual. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, moving along, we are to item 3. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. President. So the district is slowly transitioning to what we want to become as a smart sewer system, where we use a variety of technology that will eventually lead us to become more predictive maintenance rather than preventative maintenance, where we can predict where a sewer spill will occur before it happens. And so we use a variety of different technology. And one of those technologies is a smart cover device that basically it's a flow monitoring device that goes underneath a manhole cover, and it monitors the flow of the wastewater system. And when it reaches a certain level, we get text messages from staff, and we know, hey, the water level is flowing. We need to go out there and check it out before a sewer spill occurs. Recently, we have transitioned from the smart covers to a new device. It's called Concibio. Not only do they do flow monitoring, but they also help with fog issues. And so I am going to turn it over to Jesse Blakely, our wastewater maintenance supervisor, who did a ton of research. He's the one who's been championing Casibio. We have the Casibio devices in place, and he's going to share with you how we're using these devices, and how they will help us move forward, become a smart sewer system. And also, one of the best part about Casibios, they cost less than our previous smart cover devices, which is also nice. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
You said that not only do they measure level, but did you say fog?
Yes, and Jesse's going to explain that.
Thank you, Scott. I've been looking forward to this. I'm actually really happy to be here. I've talked to a few of you guys on the sideline and told you I got something really big coming, and this is what I wanted to present to you guys. So, as Scott mentioned, our sewer system monitoring technology, he kind of went over how we previously were monitoring our sewer system with smart cover devices, which only provided level data. So if the manhole or the sewer pump station, the level got too high, it would alert pump station staff, importantly after hours, so they could respond and determine what the issue was. So we were already doing that. I started doing a trial with Casibio. They let me demo the device, so it became just testing it, and I matched the parameters to smart cover just to make sure that I was getting the same data and the same results from smart cover, because smart cover was true and tried to us, but this was seemed to be a better alternative. But I wanted to make sure it would do the same that smart cover was providing, and it ended up being a cost-efficient investment as well. And it kind of supports the district's team of our long-term system direction and long-term aspirations of what we want to do with our level monitoring in our sewer system. Next slide, please. Oh, that's the next one? Okay, sorry. Real-time field sensors. So the sensors, they're cloud-based data platform. So as I mentioned, it alerts staff, but it's also taking the level data and putting it into a cloud where the wastewater staff can pull that data and view the data and make determinations based on the data. And that's, analytics and system insight. So next slide, please. Level monitoring only. So the smart cover device, as I mentioned, was only doing 24/7 data collection of just the level. It seemed to be a limited system visibility, but also limited system capability was, the big turning point for us. So Casibio device has level data like the smart cover, but it also has H2S data and flow monitoring. Flow monitoring is important, and I'll explain that in a few slides down. But it's continuous real-time data and expanded system awareness. Next slide, please. Reduced overall project costs. So continued monitoring 24/7 system monitoring, early warning of developing conditions. So that's kind of the turning point there is with the flow data, what we can do is we could put a sensor there, and if the flow starts to increase or decrease based on the typical flow level, we can make determinations in our system to say if it's increasing, maybe something's blocking it and holding it back, or if it's decreasing, something upstream is not allowing the flow to come through. And we could do that with these devices, but also monitor H2S and the level as well. Next slide. Focus H2S data collection, understanding system behavior, supporting odor and corrosion mitigation. So, for example, we were trialing the device at South Coast Plaza, and as you guys know, over the years, South Coast Plaza has told us that they have a lot of odor, and we're constantly going out there and trying to eliminate the odor. So I'm working with somebody who is going to add a product to the wet well of the pump station, and here's the turning point. This is what makes me smile. Is Costa Mesa Sanitary District is the only agency who's done this, and we're utilizing those Casibio devices to measure the H2S levels with the sensor in the wet well and using the data to determine how much solution to put into the wet well to hopefully mitigate the H2S and odor. And
For those of us that flunked chemistry in high school, can you tell us what H2S means?
Hydrogen sulfide. So it's a very common gas found in the sewer system. It's very hazardous to the public and our staff. And when you have a lot of grease, you could start getting a lot of accumulation of H2S. So by monitoring the H2S, we could also eliminate the odor. So we're doing a lot of fog control at South Coast Plaza using these sensors, but Smart Cover did not provide that. We had to either purchase the sensor and add a whole new device. Their staff had to come out and install it. And I didn't mention that, SmartCover, we budgeted $54,000 annually for those devices. And I worked with Consibio for the year and got a proposal, and we got all the devices for $23,000. So I had a huge savings there, and I was able to utilize that to upgrade our confined space program to make it safer for staff. Yes, sir.
Is this all you need for the system? Is the 23,000, or do you need more?
More. No, I have it.
I mean, can you use the? It's kind of a loaded question. Well,
No, I like it. What did you mean? You were going to say something else.
No, go ahead. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, because I have a long-term vision of what we could do with the system. So the point I'm making is you can put the sensors in each section of the sewer system and monitor from the top, the middle, and the bottom. And we can go from, currently what we do is preventative maintenance. And we go and we send the crew out to jet the sewer lines daily. And our goal per our SSMP is to jet our sewer lines annually. What I could potentially do with these sensors, if we budget differently and it would be a couple hundred sensors within our system, but you could put at the top and the bottom and view the data and learn the data and develop a program that can generate work orders for staff to go out and check that specific area if the level changes or there's data comes back, and it'll alert us instead of just budgeting and jetting every single line daily. We can start.
more question.
Yeah.
How fast do you get the data?
The sensors are set for 6 hours. So if you increase the data to every 10 minutes or 1 hour, it'll drain the battery. The sensors that are at the pump stations, we hardwired them, so it ran from the control panel, so we could get 24/7 data. But the ones that are on 6 hours, if there's a high level, it alerts right away. It just bypasses the 6 hour and sends it right away. But it'll refresh the data every 6 hours to save the battery life. Because one of the benefits of these devices is we can take it, it's in a case, and we can just mount it inside the manhole to the ladder and just stick it there. The SmartCover ones you had to lift, they had to drill it into the manhole, and it was stuck there. So my point is if we have an issue with the sewer system, I could just have a staff member go and put the device and monitor it for the time being.
Does this data come to your phone, or how do you get the data?
Both. It comes to our phone and staff's computers. Yeah, we have it on our phone. It does the same thing. It alerts us as well. Yeah.
How do you measure flow with this device? Is it just level difference?
It takes the slope of the pipe.
Oh,
It takes the size of the pipe. Correct, Mark? Slope, pipe, size,
okay.
and the velocity. There you go.
Okay, so you have to input certain parameters, and that'll help you determine the flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it, and it's less than 5 minutes. You just provide it to their team, to the Consibio team, and they're from Denmark. They're from Europe, and they just started coming over to the United States. They're opening what do you call it? A business in North America for distribution.
Yeah, well, I think later we're having a presentation on what do you call it, Mark? Ingress. What do you measure?
Ingress?
Huh?
Ingress, you said?
Yeah, no, I mean, measuring the flow.
Yeah.
That exceeds the Orange County Sand District, not 2%. What is that? What's that called?
It's basically measuring the inflow for the system. So when we get a large rain, one of the things we measure, as you understand, is how much of that rainfall gets into our.
Thank you, Scott. How much of that rainfall gets into our system?
Yeah.
And so we are measuring that against what OC Sanisset, which is a 2% change in the flow for a particular rainstorm.
What we did was we put flow monitors in the fairgrounds and realized that their storm drains were connected to the sewer.
Right.
Which gave Mendoza Pump Station an extra flushing.
Yeah.
And then I think that we're back at that point, determining that the Mendoza Pump Station.
Yep.
So you can put these devices in and monitor what or if the fairgrounds is back to their old habits.
Right. So you could measure flow. So me and Mark have talked about this before. There's companies that do whole flow studies and analyze the data in depth. The device can measure flow. So we could put it there if we wanted, quick data and interpret that data that's provided. But there's also people who do full studies on the flow data. But yeah, we could put it at Indus as well, one of our areas that experience a lot of inflow and infiltration in the system. But that's why you asked about budgeting. I purchased, 3 more extra devices for the point of if there's an issue that raises a question, we had a problem here and I'm concerned about this pipe or this manhole, we'll put a sensor there and you can put yourself at ease and know that if it starts backing up or we'll get an alert. Smart Cover didn't do that for us. So I think I got a couple more slides. Next one, please. So as I mentioned, the transition to predictive maintenance. So, and we could use the data to predict what our system is doing instead of just, going out there and jetting blindly. A lot of the times the staff is jetting the lines. It doesn't even need to be clean. Like I'll clean it and I'm like, yeah, that was really clean, but it's part of our work orders to clean that line. Next slide. I made this. Pretty proud of it. This is the end. So I made that. Are we able to see the logo? I'm proud of the logo too. Look at that nice logo at the top. Anyways, I made this.
My grandkids could do something like that, Jesse.
Yeah, I know. It's
Except
really easy.
that's an oval instead of a circle.
So I made that. It kind of just shows that there's H2O. The end. I'm sorry.
Okay, good job.
I got kicked out. Yeah, so I made that. It just kind of sums up what my vision is with these sensors and what we could actually do. So with flow monitoring, level detection, and H2S measurement, we're already utilizing the H2S to make decisions and mitigate the odor and fog at South Coast Plaza. It's cloud platform, so the data comes right to staff. It's it provides analytics, predictive algorithms. You could view the data. Yeah, that's.
Do you have one installed by the North Costa Mesa by the where we had the overflow into the waters of the
Indus,
state?
I'm sorry, Iowa
No,
by In and Out.
north side, yeah. Where we had the overflow into the waters of the state.
Oh,
Irvine Pump Station?
Yeah, Irvine Pump Station. Do we have one of those there?
Oh, that was a while ago. We have one at the wet well. Yes, we have a few sensors. I think there's like 6 that the service with Smart Cover runs out in March. So staff got.
Yeah, and let me add, Director Perry,
Yes.
our wastewater managers have installed Smart Cover and now Consivio at each of our pump stations, and I think there's been a couple of spills, one at Irvine, and then the other one was at 23rd, I believe. Both are right across
Right,
from
back
catch basins that can go right into the back bay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, there's the back bay right there. I kind of put that in there.
Okay.
so we're the first and only to do this system?
So I was telling Scott, City of Los Angeles, the name of the game is changing. City of Los Angeles is understanding as well. They've got 400. City of Los Angeles is big, so 400 probably only covers a small portion. But they have 400 Consivio sensors, and they're putting them in there and starting to learn and let the data work for you, right? So we're the only agency using the device to dose. They're learning with us. So we're all the company ourselves. We're learning together how to do this, where you just install the sensor, allow the data to determine how much dosing. So we're doing that at South Coast Plaza to help them and help us.
How'd you find out about this?
A distributor, he came and was like, "Hey, try this out," and I was like, "Okay." So I put it at a manhole. It actually stopped an SSO at South Coast Plaza when we were dealing with that project there. So I was like, "Cool, it did its job." Very proud of it.
Well, in support of your wanting more of them, there are agencies all around California that have used extensive applications for the Smart Cover.
Yeah.
We use it in the appropriate locations, but I mean, they basically had covered their system because it was so important probably for SSOs that, they spent the resources. And it sounds like you've got a better device a cheaper device. And so I would encourage staff to extend your repertoire of these devices.
And we plan to do that, Director Rutan. Couple of years back, as you recall, our agency was going to partner with Jacobs, I believe it was, to install a smart system. We were looking to get a grant from the state of California, install a $500,000 smart system, which includes AI, putting the data into GIS, creating maps and dashboards, and then put devices in. This is important because now we can put the devices in at about half the cost that we considered a couple of years back.
I'm really impressed. And I think your presentation is missing pictures. So I want you guys
I know.
to see what these look like. So this goes down, the little briefcase, dashboard, and then you can see real pictures.
Yeah, it definitely was missing pictures. I was trying to attach them this morning and I ran out of time doing time cards. I'm sorry. I was trying, but yeah,
I'm so glad I looked them up because I would have had no idea what you're
yeah,
talking
it's just
about.
they're called Pelican cases, and they were first developed for the military for airtight to keep water out. So it just has a little control box inside. It's about that big, and they build certain attachments to allow us to attach it to the infrastructure, or just there's like a cross beam, and you could tighten it inside the manhole, and then just it's hanging, and the sensor's collecting the data. Very versatile.
They're in 40% of all utilities in Denmark, and they're already in 11 states here in the U.S. Yeah, I'm really impressed. Can you give me an idea of how many we currently have
26,
29 that we've paid for?
Leasing, yes.
We're leasing them. Okay, yeah. How does the revenue model break down? Is there a warranty included?
Yep.
Maintenance? Is there a software, monthly subscription too? What is the 20?
$299 monthly for each device for the cloud-based service, and it's using cell service. So let's say if AT&T fails, it jumps to the next tower and tries to obtain the service. We haven't had any issues over that year that I tested them, and it's $299 for the service, and it provides full warranty. I've already West Coast Safety is the company that we work through, like the middleman, basically. They guaranteed us that they would put everything that we have extra on the shelf in their local in case we had an issue. So as I mentioned, they're coming from Denmark to the United States, but West Coast Safety has our replacement. So if something fails, and I've already done it, I call them like, hey, this is down and I need another one. And they bring it out immediately, like the next day.
$299 for the whole X number of ones that you have,
Mm-hmm.
get the data.
Yeah.
And do we pay, once we buy it, do we pay a service to the vendor for the use of it?
I believe that's the $299. I believe.
$299?
Yeah.
Is this a lease or a purchase?
A lease.
So
The lease provided the full warranty.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
So
better.
they.
Well, would we ever want to just own the equipment so that we're not paying in perpetuity? Do they have that as an option?
Yeah, they had it as an option. I didn't really view the purchasing too much. I presented it to my leadership team, and they went through it and ultimately decided it was a good decision. So I don't have all the answers, but I see what you're saying, and I see the angle. And the 23,000 for the leasing was a lot cheaper option than what the previous option was. And they provided full warranty. That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah, that's great.
What do you think the life expectancy of one unit is?
I've had them in the system for a year. I don't know.
So
good
is
question.
leasing a better way for us to go than buying it? That's the question.
But if we did take
Sure,
that
they
angle,
would know, and they could tell you.
Yeah. If we
Here's
did
the
want to take,
investment versus.
if we did want to take that angle, we could ask that. What do you think the life expectancy is?
And then, so you have 26 right now, you said?
29.
29 aspirationally is more better. Do we need more? Okay. How many more?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Oh my God.
So if you think about our system, there's sewer sheds. There's a start and a finish that ties into the county, right? Each area, each neighborhood has its own sewer system. I want to monitor each area and use the data. So, think of Costa Mesa as a whole, and then each section, monitor each section and interpret the data to have our staff make decisions of how to manage our wastewater system. A lot of agencies are starting to take that direction. And that's going from preventative maintenance, so we would just go and jet the sewer lines, every single one, to prevent an SSO from happening, to predictive maintenance to allow us to make decisions from the data.
Yeah, if you could measure next time when you come asking for the funds to do that, if you could measure the amount of like staff time that you think it would save, like measure the cost savings of investing in something like that, I think that would help us.
Yeah, that's the direction. Okay.
And then obviously preventing worst case scenarios has a monetary value to it as well. So we're also receiving the performance measurement program today in this meeting. And so I'm curious, in 2025, we exceeded our goal of SSOs per 100 miles. And then we also, unfortunately, had a higher percentage of sewage gallons spilled that reached surface water. Can you talk about how maybe having 29 in the last year was not enough? Like, how did the lack of this affect those realities in 2025?
Because staff we had 26 smart cover sensors, the old one, out in the system of areas that we know need monitoring. What is the 20 sewer lift stations that we know need monitoring, but 6 of them were hotspots, areas that frequently experience issues. The other parts of the system is just in the dark in a sense, right? We jet it once a year and we completed our goal for 2025 of, cleaning every sewer line, but we can't predict what's going to happen in any of the areas that don't have any sort of monitoring. So you can understand what would contribute to a blockage and cause it to spill, but we don't know until it spills. If we had sensors in every area, you could just get alerts when you could set a threshold, and if the system starts rising in certain areas or even decreasing, because if it's rising over here and it's blocked, but I have a sensor here, this sensor will start receiving lower flow, and why? And you could just view that data and say, why am I getting lower flow? And then you'd send staff out before it spills and say, go check that area out. And then you use the data. I want to use the data from the work orders because we already have archived history of every sewer line of what we saw in the sewer line, whether it had a little, more roots or more debris. The system will say, go check that line first, because typically you guys have had higher levels of this over there. So they'll go and inspect that until they kind of pinpoint where they need to jet, where should they stick the nozzle, and then allow the data to view that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, down the road, I'd love to see the actual dashboard too. Is it user friendly? Like, you find it's easy to use and
way more user.
You're not worried about training people to use it.
I have a training scheduled on Thursday. So a few of us staff members during the trial have been using it, and we know how to use it very well, and we could pass that knowledge down to other staff members. But I scheduled with that company, and that's part of the lease is training. I scheduled with the company to have staff trained, and I really put an importance on how to view the data when you're on call, so they could receive an alert and go view the data effectively during an emergency after hours. That was my focus.
One last question, or one last piece of information. When I came on the board, I don't want to tell you how long ago. We had, I think there were 13 private spills and there were 13 sanitary district spills. And the staff had a WDR committee. Basically what the county told me, the county that we report the spills to, was that the pump stations were the problem. And I think in the sewer system, it's the roots that are the problem. And staff knows where those roots are. There's a little sewer close by me that staff happened to be there cleaning just before the sewer system overflowed. So what I would suggest is, if you have access to data, and I gave Mark all that historical data, that you look at the historical data to help you figure out where the problems have occurred in the past.
Yeah.
Because most of the the collection system crew weren't back there when we were getting 25, 30 spills a year,
Yeah.
private and
Yeah.
sanitary district.
And that's what I'm doing. Instead of just having staff physically go view the data, AI can view the data for you.
Yeah.
And send the data results to staff. They don't need to, you see what I'm saying? They could,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we have historical data that might be important to figure out where potential spills would be.
Yeah.
Mark has that data.
We can put a sensor there. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, board members. Have a great day.
It paid off.
Absolutely.
Your enthusiasm has been showing for quite a while. and
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Whoever's supporting him, good job. I know. it. Let's take about a 5-minute biology break. And we are at item 4, the Costa Mesa Sanitary District City Works Public Portal Update.
Thank you, Mr. President. So again, this ties into the district moving towards a smart sewer system, and that's regarding upgrading our public portal to our permitting system. And I'm going to turn over to Mark. He's going to start us off.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for letting me be up here this morning. I will tell you, Robert is going to probably do a lion's share of the presentation because he's my expert in GIS and the CityWorks asset management system. But the districts is planning to install a replacement public portal, and that's because basically our public portal has very limited functionality. It doesn't. In fact, I'll say it fakes out customers. They think that they've scheduled an inspection when in all actuality, it's an email that goes to Robert, and if he doesn't see the darn email, they're frustrated because we missed it. Our inspector doesn't go out there, and everything just falls apart. So that's just one example of why we're moving to where we need to move to. The reason I'm bringing this item to you is to clean up some confusion that I may have caused back at the first month that Director Wright had started. I brought an item before the board, and I talked about two things, a GIS FOG database that we needed to do, and then this item for the public portal upgrade. Subsequent to that, Director Wright came by and Robert and I met with her to explain some of what we're trying to do, the different aspects. And so what I'd like to do is, I'll say, break apart the two items. For me, it'd be less confusing. It's easier for me to present the information to you. Next slide. We've been having a lot of computer issues this last week. It's been driving me crazy. All right. What is GIS, ArcGIS? What's asset management software? When I refer to AM, it stands for asset management. I will apologize for the acronym. I think Director Rutan said he was going to charge me $5 so he could buy himself lunch every time I used an acronym. So I'll try not to say an acronym. But graphic informational system, it's basically the concept for gathering data, analyzing that data, then developing special mapping to visualize information regarding your system or whatever it is. It could be rainfall over an area. It could be almost anything. It could be cleaning sewers. It could be water leaks in a water system. It could be traffic, but it's all encompassing. What's ArcGIS? It's basically the tools that ESRI has developed that basically most companies and public agencies use to develop the maps and information. For example, if you wanted to see a map showing grade 5 or failed sewers in red, grade 4 or on the verge of failing sewers in yellow, then maybe grade 3, they're okay, but they have some issues in orange, and then everything else in green. ArcGIS could do that. Now, what's asset management system and why, where does that sit in all of this stuff? And it basically, asset management is I'll call it a software or an application. We pay licensing. I can't remember, Gina might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's about $65,000 or more a year for licensing to have our asset management system. And it's basically used to gather the costs, gather the resources, so that when our wastewater manager and our wastewater supervisor, when they send crews out, they captures the time it takes to do whatever that activity is against a specific asset. If we have condition data, it gathers that. If we have projections on asset life, and an asset is just something like a manhole, a section of pipe between the manholes is an asset. A pump is an asset. A force main is an asset. So an asset's just something within our sewer system, and we keep track of all the life information of each asset, and it should be going into the GIS. And so basically, let me summarize. The asset management software gathers all the information. Esri makes it easy to use that, analyze, and work with the data, and then it's stored in the graphical information system. But our asset management software it's a work order-based software for tracking costs, asset conditions, work history, among other information. So when Jesse's crews go out, they're going to work on, I'll make it up, 10 sewers that day. They go and jet the sewers. The first one takes 20 minutes. The second one takes 25 minutes, and so on and so forth. And let's say one of the sewers takes an hour and a half to clean. That's all should all be noted in the work order. And then we can mine where are there problems with our system, and we should look at that. So that's kind of an overview of where we want to go. I'm going to turn it over to Robert so that he can talk to you specifically about, next slide, the public portal. Oh, let me give you some history. Sorry about that. We hired, I want to say, I think it was EEC, to implement. In 2009, we hired EEC, our general manager at the time, and then our district engineer at the time hired them to basically implement a graphical information system and a computer maintenance management system. I'm going to say back then it was probably, you could call it that, or you could call it the start of asset management system, because those two items, the graphical information system and the computer maintenance management system, basically I'll say were the precursors to what we call asset management system today. In 2011, our agency actually purchased CityWorks. I don't know how we came to that conclusion from my review of the history and the contracts. Not sure how we did that, but based on my experience at Orange County Sanitation, they implemented Maximo. We looked at CityWorks as one of the systems, and in my opinion, CityWorks is probably the best asset management software for, I'll say, linear assets. So sewer pipes, water pipes, things like that. It's perfect for that, where the reason why Orange County Sanitation went with Maximo is because they're more like a oil refinery. They have not just linear assets, they have vertical assets and all kind of pump stations and all kinds of things that they have to track. So that was a better system for them. I believe this is the best system. So how we came to it, if it was luck, we got lucky. In 21, we hired Centricity. We were realizing that what we, out of our agency, out of ignorance, basically said, hey, give us exactly what we have today. And EEC did that. They gave us exactly all the paper products that we have. So we realized that, well, you need more than that. You need, how do you gather the data? What data do you gather? What do you call the names of all the assets? And I know that I and the wastewater department, we've been talking about all of those things. and they're fully on board, our general manager's on board, and so we're ready to start, I'm going to say, making this thing into a true asset management system. But one of the things, so we hired Centricity to do that, and then in 2024, we tried and worked with Centricity to implement online inspection system so that if a customer went to our public portal, they actually could schedule it. It failed miserably. We found out that CityWorks didn't have any functionality when it came to a permitting public portal system, and that's really what you need to run the permitting. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Robert, let him go over what our public portal is, what it's not, why we're doing this in more detail. So Robert?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so like I said, when we started this, it all started from the inspection request. So that was in 24, one of the first things when I got here. Learned CityWorks, and the phones are always ringing, emails coming in, and the whole inspection request system was a little bit chaotic for my liking. So we started to implement it. So that's kind of where I started digging deeper into the functionality of the public portal. I was working with Centricity, and I said, hey, this is what I want. And he said, I can't do that. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Why not? And so that's why I kind of started to learn that what we had was just out of the box. It came with CityWorks. So when we purchased our license with CityWorks, this is the public portal that just kind of comes with it. Centricity didn't have the means to change that. It wasn't theirs. So they said, if you want to make these changes, we could implement a public portal for you that sits basically alongside CityWorks that they would host. So that's kind of where that started from, and that was frustrating for me. So I said, well, we're not going to be able to do that right now, so let's go ahead and do what we can with the system that we got. So I tried to make it work, and every string I kind of pulled on, I started to realize there was more shortcomings with the public portal and things that I just assumed that we'd be able to do, weren't able to do. For instance, we had some confusion with customers when they would go into submitting their application, and certain things on there weren't clear as far as like attaching. When they attach their plans, there's a little white box, and I think I show it on here somewhere. One of my things, and maybe it's on the next one. So, but anyways, no, that's not. I can go back then. But basically, there's a little white box, and it's not real clear. You got to click on it. It would be nice to have just like a text button there, or a message that would say, explain with some more details as far as what is expected on that page when they're submitting the application. So we implemented as best we could. This is what it looks like currently. So when they get, when you're submitting let me work this thing. Yeah. When you're submitting an application, these are the 5 steps. And so the first step is just you title it, select a location, people, all pretty straightforward. Contractor is pretty much non-functional. If the contractor's in our system already, they can search it if they search it exactly the right name and the license isn't expired. If the license expires, we have to go in and manually update it, so it's essentially useless, so it always is blank. So I added this other area right here for, okay, so if the contractor's not listed, put in their name and type in their license number. And that catches it maybe 50% of the time. Sometimes they don't have a contractor selected yet. They're still in permitting process, which that's fine. So they leave it blank. But when they do a inspection request, this would be after it's submitted. So that would be looking at this one over here. So when they go to select inspection request, it brings this menu, and they just hit request. And the problem is they wouldn't fill in this contact information, which is what we needed. So it generates an email that looks like this, which is useful, and it was helpful to some extent. But the problem that we were getting was, at one point, the connection between CityWorks and our email server got broken. So people were putting in these requests, and so there was no backstop against that, which is problematic. So I'd get a call, devs, like, hey, where's your inspector at? I'm like, and then I go into CityWorks, go to their specific case, and then I can see that there was that they put an inspection request. So I ended up scrapping this because it was causing too many problems. It was the chance of missing an inspection was it wasn't acceptable to me. So this one over here just shows the dashboard of what it currently looks like. So when you log into CityWorks, you have an active application and you wanted to check on the status. This is what you see, and it's not super helpful in my opinion. There is a workflow. They can't do anything in here. So if they click on any of these, they can't. Well, I should take that back. They can click on this little thing right here. It says comments, and there's a little drop-down menu. And so if I make comments on specific parts of their applications, for instance, I review the plans and they're missing, they need a sewer plan and it's not there. I say, hey, please submit a sewer plan. Or if the permit's ready to issue and I just need the contractor's license, I can make those comments. And you would expect there to be a notification or something letting them know that there's a comment there to be read. And it doesn't. So they would have to go in there and know to click on any of that. And again, maybe I could make that work if I could have somewhere in here that would explain that, but they don't have a chance at all. So these are just some of like the basic problems that I started to see with our current public portal. So if we can go to the next slide and I'll show you an example of one. This is Boulder City, Nevada. And so this is using Centricity's public portal. And so it's kind of the same. You can sort of see similarities. So this is very much what ours looks like, just without the seal and without the picture. So you can kind of, it just shows you have some options to customize the way it looks. So when you go in over here, you start off, you can start a new application, and there's these, you can choose a type and you can add in this helpful information, which is great. I think we could use this in a lot of different ways. Again, over here, when you're attaching attachments, it has a detailed explanation as to what you need. And then down here, when you upload it, it just changes the whole layout and makes it a lot more intuitive for the user. So when they're using the website, they're not having to call in to say like, hey, which nobody's ever happy when they get to that point. They usually try to make it work, and then they think to themselves, what is this? And they call in. So, and then this over here, it would be one of the things that I really don't like about our current one is that when they miss something, it doesn't tell them what they missed. It doesn't tell them what the error was. It'll just, a little pop-up down there says error, like not submitted. And so then they got to go back through and find what it is that's missing. And this, with Centricity having control of the portal, they would be able to implement just kind of these little triggers and flags that would pop up. And so I would love to have like demoed this, but this is a live site, so I couldn't. So screenshots kind of the best I could do. But I went through with Chris Godwin from Centricity, and he was showing me through the inspection process, which is the main thing that was driving all of this. And so the main difference with that is you have control and we can block out certain times. And so when the idea is the applicant comes on and they'll see a calendar and you can control the window of how far they see out. Because, if we don't want to say we want them to have, say, for the next 2 weeks or next week, they can see where it's already been blocked out. And so then they can pick exactly what day they want, and then that gets sent over. And so then you would log in from our inspector. He would see his schedule just get built out. And then say if something didn't work, he could move those around, and that would all be visible from the applicant. So they could get a notification, hey, your scheduled inspection has been changed to such and such date, and then they would show that on there. And that to me, because right now it currently just says morning, afternoon, and then they have to put in our contact information, which a lot of times they don't even put in. So we'll just get an email saying, hey, an inspection has been requested, and then there's no contact information, which is not useful because a lot of times the people who submit the permit application is going to be either the architect, designer, somebody that's not necessarily involved with the actual work that's being done there. So, a lot of times they don't even have the contractor selected when they're applying for their sewer permit. So once the contract, and that's why I want my inspector to be dealing with directly is the contractor who's going to be on site. So that's the contact information that we're asking for. So when they apply for it, we want them, one of the things would just be that to be mandatory information. If you're going to request an inspection, you have to provide that contact information. And so that's those are the main things here. So let's go on to the next one. I think I've talked most about a lot of these already with just going over those screenshots. But Yeah, not customizable for district needs. Again, it's just that lacking the basic, I want to add a button here, I want to move this over to the right side of the screen, because when you look at it, your eye tends to go here, not here. Things like that would allow me to kind of fix and tailor as I see errors come in and problems that I see that a lot of different applicants are having. I can then try to adjust it. Highlight or define does not provide our customer with feedback. This goes back to that, what I want them to be able to log in when they open it up, see like a workflow and exactly where their permit is in the process, so they don't have to call in and say, hey, what's the status of my permit? What's this? What's that? There's some clarity there. I look at it like when you order a package, from any online vendor, you usually get like a little email saying, hey, received your order. They do get that. So when they submit the application, it says, hey, we received your application. But then after that, nothing. So I want to have some steps along the way to let them know, because a lot of times it's something really simple. By the time if I have, say, 14 permits ahead of theirs, that's a few weeks they're waiting, and there could be things that maybe they could have done that we could automate to sort of speed the process up, so that by the time that I do get to it, some questions are already answered. And that goes into does not highlight or define required information. So, I would like to tailor a lot of these permits to the type of work that's being done. If it's a single family remodel as opposed to a ground up new construction, there's going to be some different requirements that I could generalize and get those out the gate, from the get go, which is going to speed the process up. It's going to, probably have less frustrating experience from the applicant side, because when I come back after 2 weeks or however long, it shouldn't take me 2 weeks, but say it's been a week, and then I ask them, hey, are you going to build any sewer outside the building? That could be an easy question that's put into the application. Workflow diagram, covered that already. Scheduling inspections, again, the way it works now, it does imply that we had that. That was one of the reasons I got rid of it, is that, like I said, people were assuming that they had scheduled an inspection as opposed to requested one that hadn't even been fully confirmed or not. Limited ability to push notifications. That goes to that point I was making when I make comments on their cases. There's no flag. There's no little like a red number 1 that says you have one unread message or something like that that's gonna prompt them to say, hey, I need to look at this. So the only way right now is just I send out an email, and maybe that person's still on the case, maybe they're not. I hope so. Idea of having everything being in one location, I think, would be best for everybody involved. That's kind of how the city does it. Everything goes through their TESA system, all the communication, all of that. So, and that's not possible with our current public portal as it is, but it would be with Centricity's model. On to the next one. Missing or incorrect portal fields. Again, this goes to that whole, just like what you see on every website. If you're filling out a form and you miss something, it almost always comes back with some sort of red highlighted indicating what's missing, why it's missing, that sort of thing. And ours, it just shows kind of like that there's an error somewhere in here. Ideally, I would like there to be, the little message that pops up. I would like there to be some explanations along the way to help them. And I could, again, tailor that specifically for different permit applications. This is one thing. So I can't, like when they request an inspection, the contractor contact information, I can put a box there for them to say, hey, I need you to fill this out, but I have no way of making it required, so they can just hit next. Next slide. So this is what Centricity is proposing. So for them to create, maintain, and host our website would be $10,000 a year, and that would be just an ongoing license. And so it would be basically included in their current contract that we have with us, which is basically to manage our GIS system and make changes as needed there. But and our City Works for the asset management side. So this would just be an additional, I guess, task for them. So they would,
I'm not sure if I'm on the right slide, but it says purchase Centricity's public portal at 5,000 on my copy.
oh, yeah, that was a mistake from our end. It was, it was $10,000 per year. That would be nice if it was a one-time, but yeah, since it's going to be they're going to be hosting it, they're going to be maintaining it. Yeah.
I just wanted to know what. the
Yeah,
answer
no,
was.
yeah, absolutely. That was a mistake, so. apologize
Thanks for
that.
making me feel better.
Yeah.
I think it's wrong.
We thought we got that one in time to swapped out. Unfortunately not, I guess. Let's see, Centricity's current service, right. So, again, one of the reasons I really like to go with Centricity with this as opposed, because there are other, one other company that does provide a public portal that interfaces with CityWorks, but since we already have a contract with Centricity, they're already are implementing our other systems, especially that they tie so closely together. It would be easier. It makes a lot more sense to go with them. Once their contract is up, then we would go on, look at some of these other providers, and this would be something that we would be including in that package. Like, well, okay, how will you be able to host our public portal, and what will it look like, that sort of thing.
What's the concern around pointing fingers? I'm not sure what this means.
Pointing fingers. Oh, yeah. So this is when there's a problem. So right now, say there's a problem with the portal and it's not working right, there was a third party, because right now there is CityWorks, which is the Esri, which owns that, and then there's Centricity that manages it, and so there would be a third company that would be then hosting our public portal. So if I was having a problem, so the customer calls and say, hey, the portal doesn't seem to be responding to what have you, and so I go to the portal company, I say, hey, this is the problem that I'm having. They're like, oh, well, the problem with that is because it's CityWorks is not responding to whatever the problem might be. You start getting these multiple parties, and so then you almost have to prove to them that the problem is with their system as opposed to somebody else. And so then you spend a lot of time kind of instead of just working directly with the problem, because if somebody controls the whole system, it's a lot easier for them to troubleshoot and figure out what's actually wrong, as opposed to it's not us.
I wasn't sure if you meant like internally within the district or something else.
Yeah, no, I see that. Yeah. Well, hopefully that answer that question then.
Thank you.
CityWorks is a certified partner. They are certified, probably trained. Yeah. Again, there's only a few companies that we're aware of that are certified within CityWorks, so we are kind of limited as far as like who we can go with.
Can I ask a question? When you say we're in an existing contract, are you talking about the asset management?
Yes, but yeah, so
which is CityWorks.
Well,
are we also in contract with Centricity for the help that they give us with CityWorks?
So that's what Centricity's, what their current contract is for us, is to help us administer and make changes to CityWorks. Otherwise, because we don't have anybody, normally you would have somebody in-house that would be either a GIS specialist or somebody that would manage the software, but it's more, for economic reasons, it's better for us to have somebody.
Do you know the current cost we're paying for CityWorks as a platform, and what are we currently paying Centricity to help us?
All in all, I don't know. I think I was looking into that. Gina, I don't know if
I've got $28K in the 2024 budget for CityWorks, CMMS, and GIS, and then there's CityWorks PLL support services,
that would be Centricity.
which is the 10K. So they're charging an additional 10K for that. Does that sound right?
That seems probably
for
correct.
the consulting.
Yeah, so if that's what we had budgeted, that would be for our licenses from CityWorks, is what that 28,000 was, and that's just to be able to use the software essentially. That there's no, I mean, I suppose there's some support that comes with it as far as like technical support, but as far as administering it and building it and tailoring it to your specific agency, that's what the 10,000 that we pay to Centricity is for.
And then there's separate line items, cloud hosting, GIS, that's probably like AWS or something, right?
So the cloud hosting for the GIS is for the actual, the map itself.
Yeah.
That's where
That's
where the data
normal to
lives.
be
Yeah.
separate. GIS, CMMS support services for $36K a year. Do we know what that is?
That would be, so that's a separate line item.
It is, and it's 37 grand.
That might be the city. We have several licensing. One is we have several ESRI licenses, and Gina, is it 2 or 3 different ESRI softwares that we have? Each has a separate
I see
licensing,
ESRI
right? Yeah.
at
There's
66.
CityWorks, which is our CityWorks licensing. I don't know I can't recall which line item that's in. We then have Centricity and a line item for them. So we have CityWorks, ESRI, and Centricity. ESRI is all the graphical information tools that they've developed. CityWorks is the asset management system, and then Centricity helps us manage it. We could have hired CityWorks to do the management of their system, but when we were looking at that, they're a little higher. They would probably charge us a little more than having a CityWorks provider or partner do the work.
So CMMS is computerized maintenance management system, and that's
That's our asset management system.
50K a year.
Yeah, we should probably change what we call it, but that's what that is. That's what we used to call this system.
Yeah, I guess I want to get a clear picture of how much we're in for financially into this suite of services. I see that the current tool is not working for you. I think we can all agree on that, and it's a bad experience for customers. My hesitancy is to go with the belief of like, since we're stuck with this current tool, we should just pivot to like a less bad tool, and I kind of would like to see more alternatives for you, especially when it comes to the scheduling. Like there's so many easy scheduling tools that are like Calendly, to just plug in your Calendly. That I'm hesitant on how much we're already like invested into this like subpar company.
Well,
And continuing with that momentum, just because we're already stuck with them.
Well, I mean, I think CityWorks has been largely served us fairly well. I can't say that. So if we're going to divorce ourselves from CityWorks, that's a huge.
Yeah, are we staying
Yeah.
for sure with them for asset management? Because I feel like that kind of is getting thrown out that.
No,
Yes.
CityWorks will keep CityWorks. It's our asset management platform. All we're talking about today is one application that was a standard CityWorks application, the public portal. Their standard public portal app was unacceptable. We're plugging in a new app. That's all we're doing. The rest of it stays like I mentioned earlier, very good system. Probably the premier system is CityWorks.
And
Great.
we're also using a very old
Version
of it, and we've already been talking with CityWorks and Esri about shifting over to a new. And once you're on a new, and Centricity's told us about this too. And he's like, a lot of the problems that you have if you switch over to what they're calling Unity, I believe, it's just confusing because there's 2 different ones within this kind of space, but. That CityWorks Unity does have a much more robust public and permitting application, which would allow for a lot more, which would
Yeah, I
solve a
can
lot
see
of
that.
problems too. So a lot of this is not necessarily, and it could be if we switch over to that, then maybe the CityWorks, the out-of-the-box public portal, and there's enough customization within the app itself that the additional 10,000 a year would then become unnecessary. Maybe we still keep working with Centricity if they're the best person or the best fit for it, but maybe we drop off this particular service from them once we shift over. But
Yeah, so CityWorks is part of Trimble. Okay, so Trimble is like the parent company, right? And that's where Unity comes from.
yes, yes,
It's
yeah.
like an inception of products. It's like a
Yeah,
product and a
there's a
product.
Trimble Unity, and then there's the CityWorks, and then there's the name, because the
CityWorks is under Trimble, though.
yes, but that name Unity is tied to two, I think, different products within there.
They have construction, maintenance, and permit.
Yeah, they're because
So we would just need permit.
yeah, and so once
No,
I was getting a bit of
well,
go
wait,
ahead.
wait. No, we would need several items. It's like saying Microsoft 10, Microsoft. I mean, they've got different versions, and the updated version is the Unity, but I think it includes many different things.
So I want to be specific since there are so many players here. I don't love Centricity specifically. So I understand we're going to stay with the asset management tool. We're committed to CityWorks. But on the Trimble site, there's about 22 integrated tools. Centricity is listed as one of them, and many of them have public-facing permit tools on them. And so when I compare those to Centricity's, even their site, their team, the amount of customers they have, Centricity kind of looks like the rookie player in the space. Some of them have like more smart features, AI. They just like look better for you. And
Yeah, I don't know if because I don't know how, because the version of CityWorks that we're currently using right now, I don't know if everyone on that list is, because Unity is and even we're versions behind that too. So, and every one of them is going to be significantly different. So I don't know, from what I found out, I couldn't find many other, what would you say, third party.
better that also meets the criteria.
Yeah,
that
and
you
also
need.
just because we're still under contract with Centricity, that it just makes sense they know exactly what I'm looking for, and then once their contract is, I think we have another year or so left on their contract, and so.
And that's the current contract is 10K to do the consulting. And then we're going to add 10K to do the public
manage
facing.
the public portal and hosting.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I did the math though. So we did like 350 permits last year. So although 10K feels like a lot to me, it's really $30 a permit. That's not, that's not that bad. But I'm struggling with how much is like getting lumped into this company. But I trust you that you did the research and that if you think this is best, like, I think it's okay to say for 1 year, let's just like go with what staff
I would just wanna
recommends.
Iterate that, I think the saving grace is, if we need a saving grace, is that we're only on it for another year, which gives you guys plenty of time to broach the field and see what else is available. Because whatever you have today in 3 months is gonna be different.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm going to say if perhaps you're unhappy with Centricity and their performance, but I will go back to when I started, the scope of work had been developed by the previous city engineer, or district engineer, sorry. And again, as I mentioned earlier, they didn't understand a lot of the asset management concepts and what needed to be done, and so they put a very rudimentary scope of work together, and that price and what they provide us is based on that scope of work. Anytime we want to do extra things, it's a change order. Since we have a year left, I'm planning to work with CityWorks, and I want to work with Esri to develop an updated scope of work and get what services for what we actually need, not what we think we need. And so, as I can't remember if I mentioned it during the board meeting, but Scott is going to be commissioning an evaluation by ESRI. They're going to come onto our site, they're going to look at our software, they're going to look at what we do from an asset management perspective. They're going to summarize, this is where you are today in an asset management system. Here's your best practices, where you should go, and here are the various activities you need to undertake to go from where you are today or where you need to be. So once we do that $20,000 study, we'll have a lot more information and a lot more scope items that we can add to the scope of work. But right now, anytime we asked for something, it's a change order because we did limit them to the scope of work. So I will apologize if we're saying Centricity's bad. We're not saying Centricity's bad. In fact, I think they've been rather responsive. It's just they have a limited scope of work. CityWorks, like I said earlier, my experience when we were doing the evaluation at OCSAN for the different types of asset management systems, I would have preferred OCSAN to go with CityWorks because it is the premier system. We got the right stuff. We just didn't have the right scopes of work to go with everything. And that's where we're, as an agency, have fallen apart. And then I'm going to say the first 3 years of my tenure here, it takes a while. I think Director Rutan mentioned to me one time, you got to tell somebody something 10 times before they understand it. And so I would talk to our wastewater manager, hey, we need to go here. We need to go here. We need to go here. Finally, we hired, after he left, we hired a wastewater manager that's been through this once. He's been involved in developing asset management, and he understands exactly where we need to go. So now you've got him explaining to staff in staff terms what we need to do, and you see now, as a good example, Jesse's very energetic because he sees the picture. He sees how we could take labor, reduce it in one area, and use it to do other things that we really should be doing or could be doing. So that's this goal, is to take our asset management system, reduce our everyday labor out in the collection system, and then focus that labor on other things like helping me with construction, helping Robert with inspections, perhaps doing Dig Alert, because we spend a lot of money every year on Dig Alert, where if they could take over marking, it would save us money and reduce our overall agency costs. And that's, I think, when I was at OCSAN, we saved probably 20%, maybe up to 30%, I believe is the number. Don't hold me to that. But we reduced our operational and maintenance labor by quite a bit by implementing asset management. And so that, if you look at our operational budget and you could save, let's say, even 10% of that money, that's a lot of money you could use for other programs. And that's where we want to go. That's what this thing is all about. And we just got to start taking baby steps to get there. So I will apologize if I led anybody to believe that any of these vendors are bad. They're not. It's just we've got the handcuffs on, and I'm trying to get them off, so to speak. So anyway, the biggest takeaway, I guess I'll say, is we need to move forward with the public portal. We plan to move forward with the public portal. Our general manager is commissioning an evaluation of our asset management system. I'm going to say in probably 5-6 months, we'll have that information and that data available. And then all of that will be used to develop a new scope of work and help us get the services that we really need.
Can I hear how access to Tessa is going for you?
Yeah, they're having trouble over there with the city as far as their, it's a kind of a logistical problem the way it's been explained to me. So we're doing these meetings about once a month, I think. And that's been one of the heavy lifts, is figuring out how they're going to work us into their workflow. So I guess it's not as simple as I can just log in as like just a general observer. The way that the system works is they have to assign you these specific roles.
Sure.
And then the problem they're having with it is that once you're assigned to it, you have to then, if I don't sign off or remove myself from certain, it'll hold up the way the system works. So basically, as soon as you get assigned to it, you have to kind of log in there, and then you have to close yourself out is what. And so they're saying like, who's going to go in, because it's not just us, it's, Mesa Water, it's a lot of other utilities, or who's going to go in and close out all of these active files once they're there, because if we don't, I didn't understand it, a whole lot of it. What we did come to is that I was going to go over there for basically like a ride along with them and see how the system works, because it was really difficult for me to even come up with solutions because I didn't fully understand the problem since it's kind of on their end. That I have a meeting this week with that, so we'll follow up with that right along, and hopefully I can see a bit more of exactly what's, because maybe they're misunderstanding my request, because all I wanted to be able to do is just log in
See that
to an active
aid
case.
in the permit.
Yeah, and see what, just like, I don't want to make changes.
Just like any other.
Yeah, I just want to
inspector
log in
would.
and see where it's at. And I explained that, and basically the answer was it's not quite that simple. And I didn't have the people in the room that were the technical experts, so there's a couple layers of communication. So what the issue is exactly, I don't know.
Yeah, so I looked it up, and the city has a similar inception of products, right? So you have Tyler Technologies and EnerGov and then Tessa. So that's their land management system, and built within it, they made the public facing portal, and they spent $2 million on it. I don't even know what the annual recurring cost is. I just found the initial investment to get it set up. And basically where I'm coming from is that anything that's taxpayer funded should be benefiting other taxpayer funded organizations. We all serve the same customers and the same architects, developers, residents. And so here we are spending 50, now another 10 here to try and make our own version work. But they have a multi-million-dollar system with the same people paying for it. So, like, you have my full support that they need to make something work.
Yeah.
Because this is a bad experience for us, for you, and for our customers.
Yeah, and that's these meetings that we've been going to has been addressing that point even more broadly, not just within this particular instance,
Yeah.
but with Plan Check, just trying to get there to be a lot more, kind of more of a one-stop shop for anybody who's trying to do work in Costa Mesa. Because right now, it's quite a lot of hurdles and a lot of hoops, and
Yeah,
so-
it's one of the top complaints that like city council hears about is how cumbersome it is to develop here and get things approved and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, you deserve you need the transparency, and the functionality shouldn't be that crazy, but
Yeah, and this is
cool. Keep us posted.
It is, yeah, it is sort of a somewhat of a temporary fix in that we paid it for 1 year, and then if it's not good, then, or if we decide to do a whole new, which I do think that's probably what's going to be coming, is that I want to do a whole kind of reset and look at the entire problem, and not just try to, like, because right now we're kind of fixing this here,
We're just patching it. Yeah.
a little bit. And so maybe it's time that we look at it and, say, okay, here's the entire, like what Mark was saying, entire scope of work. But for that, we do need to kind of understand. I struggled when I first got here, like understanding who owns what, like Centricity, CityWorks, Esri, all these different, it is a lot to understand, and who does, where they fit in, and how to make the change that you want. It a lot of times is not as straightforward as it seems.
Yeah, so specifically the EnerGov software too has unlimited numbers of users. That's built into the contract.
Yeah. Well, so I think that their problem it wasn't so much that it was.
It's the giving the specific permissions.
Yeah,
and-
but yes, all of that. So it says, okay, you can't just make them, because then I could go in and potentially wreak havoc. Or again, I don't know what the hang up is. It's hard for me to even speculate.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thanks for the info, and I'm definitely interested.
Else? All right. Thank you.
Good job, Robert.
Item 4. Excuse me, item 5.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the board has requested this information to come back. I wanted to learn more about how staff develops or creates a CIP project. And so Mark's going to kind of explain to the process, and he's going to describe, I think there's a half a dozen projects that we're really focused on this year, and he's going to talk more about that, and be happy to answer any questions when he's done.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much. As your general manager mentioned, I'm going to be talking about our CIP program. I think the board had requested some information on our capital improvement program. What projects do we have? Why did we select those projects? Things that, make sense that you would want to know all that information. But let me mention that why do we do what we do? Capital improvement is done for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's to renew an existing system that either has failed, needs attention, it isn't economic to continue to operate, maintain it, or other things. The second reason for capital improvement is to expand the system or the system capacity. So for example, one way to expand it would be, let's say we increased our territory and we need to expand our sewers into those other territories. That could be an expansion. Or let's say due to redevelopment, wastewater flow is increased through a particular portion of the city, that then we need a bigger diameter pipeline that has more capacity. So that drives, another reason why you would build facilities, new facilities or rehab facilities, things like that. We have basically 17 projects in the current fiscal year. 9 of them are master plan projects. 4 of them are facilities or assets, as I refer to them, or pipelines, manholes, things that have failed.
Mark, you might want to talk about what grade 5, 4,
I will.
3, 2, 1
I was
is.
just going to do that. NASCO is a company from Europe initially, I think England, and they came to the United States. A consortium of civil engineers, public agencies got together with NASCO, and they developed a grade 1 to 5. 0 is basically a perfect brand new pipe. We kind of ignore that number, but 1 is, hey, it might have a few scuff marks on it. 2, hey, hey, things are a little dirty now. It's getting, 3 is, we've got a few fractures.
You're talking about the collection system.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so in the collection system, there's 1 to 5. 3 would be, hey, we've got some cracks in the pipe. We have some things that have gone wrong. We've got roots that are coming in. There might be grease buildup. Grade 4 is that particular pipeline or that particular manhole is on the verge of a failure. Could happen next year, the year after that. Could happen in 6 months. And then a 5, I don't want to say it failed, but basically for a description, I'm going to say that pipe has failed or something has happened and we have to do some either major work or rehabilitation. So 1 through 5, 1 is good, 5 is bad. We have 4 reliability projects, and I'll cover what that means. And then we have 1 improvement project that'll be moving forward here at the headquarter building. We have about $5.5 million in this year's budget. Now, some of that is money that was carried over from the previous budgets. But let me say that of these 17, 4 of the 17 projects have been completed. We anticipate out of the $5.5 million, we're going to spend $4.5 million of that outlay by December of 26. And in fact, I suspect by October, we'll have a lion's share of this money depleted. And as I mentioned, we need to keep the sewer system functioning, and the goal is to replace it in time. If you do it too early, you've not taken advantage of the full, I'll call it, life cycle of that particular pipe. We want to do it just in time, but we don't want to have it fail, because when it fails, now you're reacting, and that's an emergency, and you're probably going to spend 20 or 30% more than if you had done it under a planned event. So we don't want to do it early. We don't want to do it late. We want to do it just right, like Goldilocks. So then we want to do things like install liners. We want to repair pipes before they get to the point where they can't be repaired. I mentioned NASCO, which is the National Association of Sanitary Sewer something, I can't remember what it was, organization. We want to replace those grade 5s, and then the goal would be get to the grade 4s. And once we can eliminate systems of grade 5s and grade 4s, we watch 3s. And then when the 3s become 4, we're going to really start watching them a little more closely. And before they become a 5, we're going to do something to those 4s. So that's kind of how the program is supposed to work. And then the last thing I want to point out, and this is the money part of it, the state of California is our regulators, and specifically the water board is they kind of come in and they talk to us periodically. They're the ones that when there's a big issue, they come in and do an investigation. Their benchmark is to spend about 1% of the value of your system every year in either renewals or some type of a capital improvement. Next slide. Let me say that where did we come up with those numbers? Like, for example, I said, hey, 1%, that's right now, that comes out. We hired, our agency commissioned Brown and Caldwell conduct a study, Ken Harlow. He's an expert in managing water and wastewater assets, and we were fortunate enough to get him in to evaluate our system. And a few things came up, and he said that, hey, in addition to you need to capture condition data, cost data, and all this other stuff, he's saying that we should be spending in 2025 and 2026 dollars, we should be spending $2.5 million a year. I will say that before I got here, we were spending somewhere between $750,000 and $1 million a year. I don't think we even hit the $1 million mark very often. So we're actually behind. And I talk to Scott all the time. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch up because I feel as though if we don't catch the right thing at the right time and we have a large spill because of it, we could be fined. And I'll talk a little bit more about the fines as we go through some of this. But, well, let me mention Laguna Beach, I think Irvine Ranch, Santa Margarita. In 2019, Laguna Beach, they were fined $1 million for a $1 million spill. $1 a gallon is about the going rate for a spill. A while back, it's now moved to $10 a gallon. Santa Margarita, they were fined $900,000 because of a $900,000 spill. That was in 2010. But I could go on, and some of those were because there was a single point of failure. But these are the 6 projects. Eldon, Project 341, this is our number designation, and our finance manager has an account number that's based on this number, and that's how we track the specific budget against the specific project. But Eldon is basically a project to add a second force main across State Route 55, because right now, if something were to happen, like a major earthquake and the bridge would be damaged, I don't think we would be able to get our wastewater transferred to the other side of the freeway and into OC Sand system. Likewise, Harbor, it's an overflow that we want to add. I'll go into that in more detail. 349 is a project that I'll be asking you to approve an agreement with a contractor to do some work on. 515, we've got a failure that I need to deal with. And I'm trying to do it on a planned instead of an emergency. At 615, industrial waste, another pipe that has failed that we have to deal with. And then 630 is our condition assessment, which is going to get us back in the hunt and help me catch up. Next slide. Okay, the first project. Eldon Pump Station is at the corner. Eldon is this street right here. Mesa Drive is here. And Eldon is actually on Mesa Drive at Eldon. But for naming conventions, we tend to choose street names. So Santa Ana Pump Station is on Santa Avenue, 23rd Street Pump Station is on 23rd. So we named this one Eldon Pump Station, but it's at the corner of Mesa and Eldon. So right here is our pump station, our force main. The dotted line currently goes over the bridge, south along Newport Boulevard, kind of skirts along the fairgrounds, and right here is where the pressure pipe that transmits the wastewater from the pump station. It goes into a gravity line, and then from the gravity line, it continues over to Fairview, which is probably right about here, and that's where we go into Orange County Sand. So this is our, I'll call it our outfall for this particular sewer shed area. What we want to do under this project is build a second pipeline, but instead of going through the bridge, we thought about going under the freeway here, but the freeway is about 30 foot depressed in this location, and I got to go another 20 or 30 feet below that. So by the time I dig a hole here, we're probably 60 or 75 or 80 feet deep. So we're choosing to go north along Newport Boulevard, and you probably have been through this area, but that's where Newport Boulevard and the State Route 55, they daylight. So I can dig down about 30 feet, pop underneath the freeway, come back up, and then I'll run back down Newport Boulevard, and then we're going to tie in right about here to an existing pipe that we own that's in the ground, but we decommissioned because it was very fragile and we were worried that we would have a catastrophic failure. We're going to use that as a hose pipe to take this the rest of the way. And so when this project's done, we'll have two pipelines that can convey wastewater from our pump station to the gravity system and then to OC San. When I first got here back in 21, we had to remove a device from within the bridge. It was it releases air and releases vacuum because this bridge is a high point in that system. And we had to remove that device and effect a permanent repair. So we pulled out the emergency response plan, and it took 22 trucks, large 5,000 gallon pumper trucks to pump all of this. And that was at night, and it took the contractor 2 weeks to not only get pumper trucks from Southern California, but he had to pull 11 pumper trucks from Northern California, and it took him 2 weeks. So I was talking with our general manager, and I said, hey, this is a great plan, but it's going to take us 2 weeks to implement. We should really think about something different. And so that's where this project developed out of. Right now, the estimate, including engineering, construction, coordinating with the city, permitting, all the stuff we have to do is we're estimating somewhere between 10.5 and 12 million. I'm telling you 12 million just to be on the conservative side. In the next 3 to 5 months, this number is going to get solidified a little better. Based on having to raise funds, we need about 3 to 7 years. And what this project will do is eliminate a single point of failure, namely the existing force main. Next slide. Harbor. Harbor Pump Station is right about here. And there's a force main that goes, this is Harbor Boulevard. North is on the top of the page. This is Wilson Avenue. Harbor Pump Station happens to be on Wilson. The force main travels east and discharges into our gravity system just east of Harbor Boulevard. Again, one pipeline, if it were to break, we'd have a problem. What kind of pointed this out is 9 months ago, a year ago, probably a year ago now, Edison told us that they had to take all these power lines down for service. And we said, great. We took our generator over there. We hooked it up. We got it running the night before. Come 10 o'clock at night, they cut the power to all this whole circuit. There was no power for several blocks and neighborhoods resulting from all these lines going down, including our pump station. I think it's something that they did. Perhaps it was just that it was an old generator. But in the middle, about 4 or 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, our portable generator dropped off. And we're lucky, number one, it happened at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning because we had 2 or 3 hours to respond. Number two, we were lucky that Edison noticed it because they called me in the middle of the night and said, hey, you just had, your generator just blew up. And that's when John Gonzalez, Jesse, Tony, the whole crew got out there and got that whole thing restarted again. But we had to purchase a new generator because it had went out. If we had to do a bypass, we would have had a whole different mobilization. But again, it took time. And so we started thinking maybe we need a real standby generator at that location. And my predecessor started looking for sites, didn't have it. We realized again that we'd have to buy property, and it just wasn't panning out. And we were probably talking $500,000 to $1 million just to buy property and do a project. That particular pump station is 38 years old. The force main is newer. I was worried about a force main break, but again, if you don't have power to your station, you got a problem. So we came up with an alternative, and that's running a overflow from our pump station into this gravity system. And that'll buy us a lot of time. Now, what's the overflow and how does it work? It's just a pipe that's run about 4 feet below ground. And what happens is, let's say we have a failure, either a pipe break or the pump station blows up. What'll happen is sewage will continue to run to the pump station. The sewer level in the pump station will keep rising and get to a point where we're going to install a new pipe, and we think the water's going to overflow and go into flow from this sewer shed into this gravity sewer shed area, and that will then create an opportunity such that we think we could go 12 to 24 hours without having a sewer spill as a result of this overflow pipe. Doesn't mean that we can run like that forever, because what happens is, think of a bucket with sandy, muddy water in it. As soon as that muddy, you kind of set that down and that bucket down, the mud settles down to the bottom, the clear water goes to the top. Well, what we would be moving over would be clear water. All the stuff in the water, or all the stuff in the sewage for this case, start building up in the bottom of the wet well. So once we restore service, we'd have to go in there, pump it out, vacuum everything. So it's a system that will allow us to continue so we don't have an SSO and allow us time to recover. That project we think will be less than $600,000. I think it'll be 400-ish, but we're still working on the estimate. I submitted plans to the city of Costa Mesa. Very interested because we're going to be shutting down this intersection probably at night. We talking with Mike Benish from RBH. He's the consultant that's helping us design it. We think we'll be completely done with that by Thanksgiving of this year, and it will increase the reliability because water will keep flowing. It'll, I don't want to say eliminate, but significantly reduce the potential of a sewer spill. SSO stands for sanitary sewer overflow. It's the acronym or the technical term that the state of California Water Board uses, but SSO just means sewer spill. And so that's what this project is going to help us do. Next slide. Number 3, Mendoza Pump Station. I will be taking, in 2 weeks, I'll be taking and bringing an item for you to consider making an award to a contractor to do the second phase of the work that we need to do here. Mendoza Pump Station is in the, I call it the Mendoza Alley because it goes from Baker down and then makes a left-hand turn as you're going south and goes into Mendoza Street, and it services these properties that are on the west side of Mendoza. This is a storm drain channel that is operated by the County of Orange. All the city drains within several storm drains, rainfall sheds, they go into this channel and then eventually make their way west or south. This, again, single point of failure. We had one force main. We do have a backup pump, but I'm concerned again after looking that we put 2 force mains in at Iowa, 2 force mains in on 19th. We have designed 2 force mains at Avamore. We've got 2 force mains designed for Geisler. This is the next one on the list, and that's why we want to eliminate a single point of failure. And in order to increase the reliability, I'm not just adding a second force main, but I'm extending the gravity sewer, because the gravity sewers tend to be a little more, in my opinion, reliable, because as soon as the water gets in, it goes off. Where if I quit pumping, that pressure pipe loses pressure, and we can't convey sewage to the downstream system. So it adds a backup force main, it adds an overflow. It's about a $465,000 project, and we should be done with that in September. This back here is the corner of the alley, and we have this property in here, and we're going to tear up this. All this pavement's going to get torn up. A little bit of the sidewalk's going to get torn up because we extended the gravity sewer to this point here. We will extend the gravity sewer in. We will add a second point of discharge, and then the overflow will go to a manhole and then eventually out. So that's what this project does. Next slide. Autoplex. This is Bristol, next to the 73. This is Irvine Avenue right here. I can't remember one side, but anyway, the south side where the golf course is Irvine Avenue. This is the large county storm drain channel that goes to the lower or back Newport Bay. We have 3 pipelines that cross this. So all the sewage from the camp and all this whole area, sewage from the golf course, Indus, Irvine Pump Station, all of that is tributary is tributary to this point here. And so we have 3 pipelines. 2 of the 3 pipelines have actually failed. There's a ductile iron replacement project, and we've done all that needed to be done. When we got to these 2, this was the last work that we had to do. We found that the ductile iron was so rotten and the groundwater was so high that we couldn't line these ductile iron pipes. And so I realized at that point in time, we thank heavens, my predecessor had the forethought to put a 3rd spare pipeline in there. I think he was thinking of it as an air jumper, but I worked with our emergency contractor to open up both ends, and we diverted the water and we relined it, got it all ready to go. So we essentially have 1 barrel of a 3-barrel or 3 pipeline that goes underneath this channel. The other 2 we're currently using for emergency overflows. So they're still functional, but I don't want to have sewage go through them, because more sewage means more stuff. We clean them more often, and they're already very fragile, so I'm currently using them as emergencies. And so what we're going to do with this project is basically bid, procure, and hire a contractor to figure out how to patch the pipeline, clean it up, and then put 2 liners in so we can get these basically new again. So the goal is to modify the manholes and rehabilitate the 2 bad pipelines that have already failed. We think we're going to spend about $200,000, and I believe that once we get a contractor on board, we can implement that, I'm going to say late summer. Next slide. 615, this is as part of the ductile iron project. This was the second one, pipeline. There's a ductile iron pipe, and back in the day, everybody thought ductile iron, because it's metal, was the way to go, and because it went under State Route 55, I suspect Caltrans told us, you got to put in a ductile iron pipe. Well, metal and sewage and sewer gases and all the corrosion that goes with it, metal is not a good choice for that. So as part of this ductile iron pipe, we were going to go in and put plastic lining in all of this. Again, we were a little bit too late. We tried to clean this, and every time we went to clean it, that ductile iron pipe would shatter, and then we'd have to patch it. And we'd go another foot, and it would shatter, and we patch it. So finally, I directed the contractor it's an 8-inch pipe. It was almost closed up. It had so much crud and calcium and stuff that it would close down to about a 4-inch opening. So I asked them to just core a new opening, a 6-inch opening, And then we abandoned that project. So for the last year and a half, sewage has been going through basically a 6-inch opening in this 8-inch pipe. I want to go back and do a $500,000 project to basically, they call it pipe bursting. So we have to have a pit at this end. We have a pit at this end. Contractor pulls a pulley down at one end. He puts a puller truck at the other. And we take a black plastic pipe and we basically, it's got a special head that goes on the front of it, and it's kind of a missile, or it's got 2 knife blades on it. And we pull that through via cable. So the head gets pulled, the plastic pipe gets pulled behind it. And as that head is going through that existing pipeline, it's splitting it into 2 pieces. And we just pull that plastic pipeline to this other end. It's referred to as pipe bursting. It's going to be about a $500,000 effort, and we should be completed by Thanksgiving. And then I think the last projects to share with you, next, is right now we have a commitment to the state of California, and they said, how often, you got to assess your system. What do you want to do? And based on working with Orange County Sanitation and all the 25 member agencies, we were actually one of the first agencies and groups that said 10-year assessment is the right thing to do. It's turned out to be best practice, and so agencies across the country have adopted the 10-year program. And so our program now is at the end of the 10 years, and we've budgeted basically, I want to say it's $150,000 this year. It's going to be $300,000 next fiscal year. And we're going to start CCTVing 224 miles of pipeline. Now, this number is more than just gravity. I think it includes our force mains. But we're going to CCTV all our gravity lines, and we're going to determine the condition of each and every one of our pipes in the ground using that grade 1 to grade 5 assessment. And again, this is required by the state regulators. It's in our plan, and over the next 4 years or so, we're going to spend between $1 and $1.5 million to do that. I'm planning to do 30 miles this year and get the whole process started. That's what that $150,000 will buy you, is about 30 miles. And with that, then that data goes into our GIS, and then from that, I can mine, John Gonzalez can mine, anybody can mine, what are our worst pipelines, and then we can focus our capital money on replacing those pipelines that have failed or almost ready to fail. So this is a very important project. I'm still negotiating with Scott. I'd like to do it over a longer term. He'd like to do it over a shortened term, and there's pros and cons to all of that, but we are going to get this done. And it's probably the single most important thing, even though we're not putting a stick of pipe in the ground yet. It'll tell us which stick of pipes to replace and where to put those pipelines. So that's why I think this is such an important project to get started this year. Next slide. And that concludes my presentation. Those, to me, are the 6 most important projects that we're doing. We're going to spend a lot of money for you this year. And it is required, and we really should be spending it. And again, I wish I'd completed more of these projects since I've been here, but getting that wheel going took a little bit of time. Questions?
We talk a lot about the Indus line.
Mm-hmm.
So the P515, the Autoplex,
Yes.
is going to address Indus.
No, it will address the siphon under that channel. Indus, can you maybe perhaps go back to the 3 or 4 slides, I think it is.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at the picture.
And I'll show you where Indus is and all of that. Go back one more. Yeah, right there. Okay, right there. Yeah. Okay. This is what we refer. Indus sewer comes from this point. It travels uphill into this apartment complex. Then it goes out onto, I think it's Santa Ana Drive, or and then it goes down. But it serves Indus serves this whole sewer shed area right here,
and then it goes down and it goes across the golf course along with what comes across in the siphon there.
But how much work is gonna be done on the golf course?
For this for the siphon, we will just be present on the golf course. We're not actually replacing any pipelines or manholes on it. All the major work is gonna be to that manhole and to the pipes that are underneath the channel. When we get to Indus, and I don't know if it was your general manager or Jesse Blakely, but somebody suggested that there were high inflow numbers in this sewer shed, and so Jesse wants to put 3 units out here. When I was looking at what it would take to assess it, I think we need 5, but we are moving forward with. We want to set this up probably this coming fall so that next winter we can catch a rainstorm or 2. And I want to see exactly where in this area, where's all the inflow coming from. 2 winters ago, I brought Mantucci out, and we CC'd this literally about 3 or 4 hours after a major, I'll call it river-type atmospheric river hit our area. We went out there with a TV camera and started CCTVing all these streets. Inflow was coming through literally every property in here. We found clear water running through all the private property laterals and into our pipelines. So I know we have significant inflow in this area. I'm not sure how to deal with it. We could ask homeowners to repair their lines, and we can certainly begin a campaign to do that. But I guarantee you at 20, 30 grand a pop, these people are not gonna just happily repair their private sewer lines. I think over time, and as the area gets redeveloped, Robert and I, through the permitting system, could affect that, but it's gonna take years to get that all done. So we're gonna have to figure out how much flow, where do we need to, I'll say, widen the path to get wastewater out of this area and prevent any sewer spills from right here. The good news, Jesse has had, and he will have a level and flow measuring device at this location. And so what the district does is we put a portable pump here when we see these larger storm events or an atmospheric river going to hit us. We put a portable pump and we lay some hose out here in case we have to run across the top of the bridge and put it into a storm drain that gets it into this side. And that way we don't spill in this area and into the channel.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered your question,
No, it did.
Director. Okay.
It did. Other questions?
This is super helpful. Thank you. My question is, so at the city, we have like a 5-year CIP budget, so we can start anticipating when we would want to do and how we would finance projects. Do we have that?
Yes, and that's the very first slide. I said 9 of these projects were master plan projects. We also have a 5-year master plan. We submitted it to the city a couple of years back. It's the master plan was actually developed prior to my tenure. I have some ideas. We really need to update what's included in the master plan. And so in the next year, 18 months, we'll develop a scope of work, go back out, and there's a couple things we need to look at. What's it going to take to implement a smart system that Jesse kind of alluded to? And then from an asset management perspective, how much money should we be spending every year? And with that end, I'm considering either commissioning Brown and Caldwell to rework their study, or perhaps hiring another consultant to update that asset plan so that we can push that into the master plan. But we have a 5-year plan. It says we should be doing these works, but things that the master plan doesn't cover is South Coast Plaza sewer breaking. That was a $1.8 million endeavor. It wasn't planned. It wasn't in the master plan. We've had other things like that happen. Well, we had it master plan to line all of our ductile iron pipe, which includes the Autoplex siphon that I was telling you about. We didn't realize that particular specific ductile iron pipe had already gotten to the point that it was just too far gone. So sometimes we have to do things that are outside of the master plan, but we do have that
just like the city, and it's appropriate for all public agencies to have a master plan. Okay?
I don't mean to belabor this.
Sure.
Indus has a lot of houses that are encroaching on our easement. And I think that should be in the master plan, figure out how to get all those encroachments off our easement. Like the Orange County Sand District did in Huntington Beach.
Yeah, I need to go back and look at that. I recall Steve Cano, he's our previous wastewater manager. I remember him showing me that there was one property where a corner of the house is encroaching a little bit into the easement, but it's not really over our pipe. And then the previous district engineer up in the, can you go back to the?
No, let's
Okay.
just keep that in the back of our
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, and then in the apartment complex, we had them tear out a pool, and then we put I'll call it a dog leg into our sewer to get it out from underneath the apartment complex. So we've kind of addressed some of that already.
The question?
Have we already, as a board, started discussions around funding for the Eldon project?
Yes and no. We are, the back pocket is to obtain a loan. We are requesting money from the federal and state government. Our general manager just submitted a grant application for the project, and we'll know in probably 18 months whether we're successful or not. We'll see how that goes. So that's why it's taking a little bit of time, because if we can get $8 million or $10 million, that's basically going to cover most of our costs. We have tried prior to this. The county's not interested in funding this. The state, through the state coffers, was not interested in funding this. So now that's why we've gone to the grants. But we do have an alternative in our pocket. Scott, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that's actually really great that I asked that, because I think, once again, the city does a good job of breaking down the 5-year CIPs, and then they have the different suggested funding sources and then why they wait or why they do it now. And then sometimes there's certain funds that can only be applied to certain types of projects, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think I'm just a financial person, so I'm imagining it in more of a budget format. Which, do we have this in a budget format?
Yes.
It's part of the master plan?
If you want to see our well, in the master plan, it shows a list of projects and it shows out the capital outlay, generally speaking. But if you want to get to specific projects, every year Caitlin has identifies 2 years worth of projects, and specific by project number, everything's identified in the budget.
I'll look
Very
for it when she
specific,
presents it.
very detailed.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Item 6, Scott, it's yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is your annual performance measurement report that we present to the board every year. It's a program we implemented almost 10 years ago to engage and evaluate the level of performance and identify areas where we can make improvements. So this is the 2025 report for our performance measurements, and I'm just going to highlight or explain some of the highlights of this year's report. So one of them, regarding code enforcement, we heard about this morning. Code enforcement did achieve 100% of all their trash carts stored in public views were closed within 15 working days. But as we looked more into this task, we noticed that code enforcement issued over 1,600 first notices in 2025. That's an average of 137 a month. And you heard David this morning, last month he issued 175, which is quite a bit. And so talking to Marissa, going forward, we're going to look at, see if we can do some outreach campaigns to try to educate the public. You know, once your trash is emptied, please bring your cart in as soon as possible, right? It's for aesthetics appeasing for the public. So we'll see if that'll have any impact. So we're working on that in the next year. In 2025, that was the year that the district clerk's office received the most public records requests ever at 37, which seems a lot when you compare to the city when they see you have 100, but still it's what's extraordinary with Nicole, with Nolani's team is that under the PRA's regulations, that once we get a public records request, we have 10 days, staff has 10 days to respond with or without the documents. Typically, you can respond and say, hey, we need more time, but you have 10 days. Nolani and her team successfully responded to all 37 PRAs with the documents in less than 4 days. So that's the demonstration of great customer service and being very efficient.
What accounts for the increase? Were they specific?
We had one specific person, I think I mentioned this in my weekly update. He was creating a new platform that could help people submit bids on public projects. And so he was gathering data from cities and districts from all around the country about public works projects. And so he submitted a ton of PRAs to us. And really, unfortunately, created a lot of work for Mark, but he was able to get all that information to Nolani, and like I said, we got to him in less than 4 days, which is great.
Heard any more from him?
No. So on the permitting side, the permitting office issued 347 permits in 2025, and it took an average less than a week to complete the first plan check review and provided comments per permit application. Again, demonstrates good customer service and being efficient. Our wastewater department cleaned the entire system, which is 224 miles within 12 months. But we did incur some overtime to achieve that goal. We did incur about nearly $18,000 in overtime, and we still had a couple of sewer spills that was related to grease and roots. So of the 224 miles of pipeline we have, 84% of that consists of 8-inch diameter pipes. And if we look back further, in the last 10 years, the district had 28 sewer spills. Of those 28 sewer spills, 21 of them, or 75%, were from 8-inch sewer lines. So staff has come up with a new method of cleaning, and so the goal now is to clean all 8-inch pipelines, which is 187 miles, clean those within 12 months. Any larger pipelines, they'll be cleaned 18 months. So we're going to really just focus on the 8-inch pipelines for the 12-month period. On the finance side, we did obtain the Triple Crown recognition from the Government Finance Officers Association for the 4th consecutive year. Demonstrates transparency and accountability to fully disclose public financing. And our district's smartphone app, the GoCMSD app, our subscriptions have increased over 50% in the last 2 years, and service requests in using the app has increased by 57% since 2023, which demonstrates residents are trusting the app as a reliable source of communications with staff to help resolve issues. Now, some of the goals that we did not achieve, obviously, I think you all know we had too many sewer spills in 2025. We had 4 sewer spills, which equates to 1.79 SSOs per 100 miles of sewers. And we benched that mark with the Water Quality Regional Quality Board Region 8, which consists of Central and Northern Orange County, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. And Region 8 in 2025 had less than 1 SSO per 100 miles of sewers. So we're hoping the new strategy of cleaning our sewer system will help improve, reduce the number of sewer spills that we have. 75% of respondents corresponding to our smartphone app indicated effectiveness of staff as being good and superior. And I think all of you would agree that anytime you contact our staff, they are very professional, very courteous, and they go over the top to knowledge. And we know 98% of the correspondences in GoCMSD is regarding to solid waste. And when that happens, it goes directly to CR&R first. So they're the first people that get these complaints, and then it falls on us if they can't get any resolution. So we believe that the public is correlating district staff with CR&R staff, which is why we got to 75%. So if you take out CR&R, I'm pretty confident we can get it to 90%. The last measure I do want to share with you is probably the hardest one to achieve because the bar is set so high, and it's regarding the culture. And that is my goal is building the culture that has psychological safety and trust. And the way we analyze, or will help analyze that we're achieving a culture of psychological safety and trust, is that we ask every year one question to staff. We ask them, is the district a better organization than it was compared to 1 year ago. And in 2025, over half, 52% of employees said, yes, the district is a better place than it was a year ago. Now, does that mean the 48% saying that the 48% of employees said the district is worse off or not? That wasn't the case. Basically, the answer was 48% of those employees just did not have an opinion. They didn't say it was worse. They didn't say it was better. They said it basically was the same. Okay. So basically, when we have our citizens engagement survey, I meet with the leadership team. We discuss all the comments. We analyze what staff's saying, and then we develop an action plan. So we do have an action plan that was created, and we implement that plan to address the feedback and the issues raised by staff. So hopefully in 2026, we'll see that 52% increase significantly. The goal is 90%. Again, it's a bar is very high to achieve that, but I think it's a good goal to try to achieve, right? To have that most of your staff believe in the culture is psychologically safe and trustworthy. So historically, I've submitted the performance measure reports on a quarterly basis. I am going to deviate that a bit. I'm going to submit that on a yearly basis. So every January, you'll get a full year's worth of data. It'll help us evaluate the full systems and on a yearly basis to see what progress we've made. It also reduces, it takes a lot of, when I've asked for data every quarter, it does require a lot of staff time and resources. So I think staff appreciates just doing it once a year. So moving forward, you'll be getting this report annually, not quarterly. So that concludes my presentations. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mention the most important goal on the whole chart.
What do you like the most? EMOD, right?
Yeah. 96%.
You know, hopefully that the new EMOD comes out in a couple of months. I was talking to Diana, and hopefully that number goes down even further. So
The rate, we talked about rates at our board meeting last week, and you'll be pleased with rates. So we've got that. Just one quick question. This is the item where it says average number of days it takes the board of directors to award contracts after bid opening. Last year, or 2024, was 26 and a half days. 2023 wasn't so hot, but we're up to it really takes 50 days to get a contract award. Is that because of all the procedures?
It was an average. It might have been one of those contracts that threw us off. Yeah, sometimes, like if we get a protest, we'll have to evaluate it further. It just depends. The goal is to get it less than 60 days, and so we're still achieving that. So even though it did go up from years past, it's still below 60 days.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, for example, there's been a couple of contractors that have issued signing, and so they had to go back and forth with their legal counsel. And then another thing that'll stop us from going to the board in a timely manner is if they have trouble getting bonds in the insurance. And so those are beyond our control, and I've had a few of those come up. But in a perfect world, I'd like to go the same month I get them, but usually it's the next month. And that's where Scott came up with the 60 days. But I can only go as fast as the contractors provide us with signed documents and information.
Yeah, I assume that's. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I have a question. What is the employee wellness challenge program and the employee wellness program?
So we implement an employee wellness program for twofold, really to enhance mental wellness and also just overall physical wellness of employees. So they're at work, right? Less sick time, if they're well. So once a month during all hands meetings, we would share information to staff on how to stay healthy. We have engaging games together for mental wellness. It's just another way of having that culture of physical and mental well-being. You're seeing a lot of mental well-being has been a big issue in the public sector, and so that's that. People need to take the mental health day.
Yeah.
It's challenge. So we have these challenges, and we have games, and we give gift cards to encourage people to participate. Like walking challenges, or drinking enough water, or eating enough fruits and vegetables, whatever it is. Just some fun interacting games to help with wellness.
That's great. And then for the app users, where we think that it's possibly related when they're having a dissatisfactory experience, do we relay those comments or the tickets to CRNR?
Yes, we do. So both positive and negative. If we get any feedback that is specifically addressing a customer service rep or a driver that we can identify, we will share those with
Okay,
CRNR.
good.
And then Yesenia is also contacting customers for negative surveys to see if there's anything additional that we can do to assist them.
Good, okay. And then I'm curious, what is the action plan for, like, what was the action plan to respond to employees rating the district? Either, they just opted out of answering that question.
Don't share that with the staff, because I made a promise to I don't share with the board, because I made a promise to staff that it's confidential. And so I
Gotcha.
don't want to let you know that we did hear staff, took it seriously, and we're implementing it. And we do share our action plan in response to staff. They see it, but
Good.
want to
Yeah.
Keep across and saying, hey, it's confidential. I'm not going to share it with anyone else.
That's totally fair. And then my last question, or my second to last question is, there's nothing about like the 3-cart system and diversion rates goals in here. Is there a reason for that?
Well, we know our diversion rate is 75%. I mean, we can put that in there. It's something, we can, there's no problem. This is a working document, so you can always add or delete measures. If it's something the board wants us to look at, is putting measurements or 3 carts. Yeah, I could talk to the staff and put that in there.
Yeah, that seems like a really important thing we're working on in the next year or two, especially as we're exploring fines or anything of that nature. Or, I mean, I hope you guys remember when CRNR comes and does their presentations. I think the most important thing is like when we are investing to make a change that we're actually tracking it, like when we're investing in these elementary schools and seeing, oh, look, it is making an impact in this neighborhood. So yeah, I'd love to see that. And then I just wanted to comment on moving it quarterly to annually. I mean, what do you guys think? Would you be down to see it every 6 months, or in your guys' experience, once a year is fine?
Quarterly is too much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that has to go into it. And we rarely see, with a lot of this stuff, we rarely see any changes or updates on a quarterly basis, because most of the reporting that's done is annual. I don't have a problem with it annual, as long as we get updated information and not.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I do remember asking you for highlights last time, so I appreciate it. And yeah, it looks good to me.
I have one question. There's an item in here that said the district was present at 20 community events. I'd like to see a list of those events.
That's great.
Since it sort of ties in with the meeting reimbursement process.
Yeah. And it ties into just what we're putting our funds into as well. Great, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question about the employee survey. I just want to clarify a couple things. So you're saying that 52% of the employees responded that the district is a better organization than it was a year ago, but 48% expressed no opinion?
Say yes or no.
You know why? Or that you can share? Yeah, I think 90% is probably a little high to achieve. Okay, all right, that's it.
Yep. Okay, we can go to oral communications, director comments. I have a couple of really quick things. I got an email from Orange County Sanitation District. They are hosting I think it's a movie or a documentary, unless something goes terribly wrong. And it looks like, I'm just passing that on to our 2 newest directors. Might be something you want to go to. The problem is, it's like in the week and it's like 3 hours long. So, and they also are going to talk about.
They do a tour out. We're pushing it on our social media outlet as well.
Okay.
It's This is very interesting. So it's like a documentary, then there's a panel, Q&A panel, people who made the documentary, then you actually go on a tour. So that's why it's so long.
Well, they're saying after the film, live Q&A with Alexander Wolf Lewis, who's a director, and Rob Thompson to explore career skill. This almost looked like a job promotion thing, but the film sounds like it'd be something worthwhile seeing.
I'm pretty sure that once it's done, they'll probably upload it on their website, and we could probably just.
I
watch it on their
wondered
website.
that.
So I'll keep an eye on it, out for it. And if it's on their website, I'll forward it to the board.
The other thing for everybody, we have a closed session scheduled for the board meeting to do Scott's performance review. He and I will be meeting before that. I don't have your.
I need to get it to you. I
ASAP.
forgot it on my desk today, so I'll have to text you.
I don't have mine.
I don't have yours. I do have yours, and I have Art's. So,
What's my deadline to get it to you by?
as soon as possible.
Okay.
Whatever that means. The other thing is, I asked Nolani this morning to look into. Yeah, we have a new state requirement on a course that we have to do, so she's going to get us some more information on whether it's going to be on Target Solutions. I think somebody's going to do some live. I think CSTA is looking at some live workshops. And the other thing is she's working on getting us information on the new 700 filing. Although, does that really affect us from the district, the new one, or is that just more? But it says something about whether if you're involved with financial decisions. We are. But does that mean the county? Normally, we file with the county, and they must not shoot that onto FPPC. So I'm thinking we're probably going to have to do the new requirements. Okay, and we'll get back to you with that.
I also saw the required cybersecurity training we have to do online. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, there's actually, thank you for, there's actually 3 trainings,
Yeah.
right, Gina? Are they 3 individual courses? They're not like the ones that say, oh, you haven't done 2 hours. Like, I think, is it harassment? You have to be, and if you finish in a half hour, you just have to look at a blank screen for an hour and a half.
But there's new regulations coming down that board members and executives have to take 2 hours of financial training. And that's going to be,
That's gonna be for 2 hours. You have to do that.
that's a new one.
Yeah.
What is it?
Financial training. Maybe it'll help me with my wallet. Okay, that's all I have. Maybe Nicole, Bobby?
I have one potential ad hoc committee. I think maybe an ad hoc committee needs to be set up to address Sue Lester's processes, especially concerning, since we're also dealing with the upgrades to the reimbursement, the director's reimbursement policy. Stuff has been printed in the paper. She said I asked her for the list of what she had, and she said, well, I don't have a list, but I have 60 meeting reimbursement forms. And so she's gone over those, and the stuff that's being printed in the newspaper, I expect is not correct. And I want to get to the bottom of it as we're determining the director's reimbursement policy changes. And so I know that we can't make a decision here, and that would have to happen. I'll be asking the same thing at the board. Sue had agreed to meet with me, but my text messaging to her is all screwed up. And she doesn't answer my phone calls. So I want to see that data, and see her opinion of what it is that she's reporting to the newspaper, and they're printing the stuff. And then I expect I know what some of the problems are, but, I want someone internally, and I expect a potential board ad hoc committee to review with her, if she'll do it. She agreed to let me meet with her to see it. But I think it should be more than one board member. And so if she'll agree to meet with, say, Mike and I, then we won't need an ad hoc committee. But otherwise, I want to get the resolution for the board to better understand where, I was gonna say where in the hell she's coming from. What her opinion is.
Can I say that?
I was gonna say that, and then I said, why not?
I mean, can we request that the list be submitted to staff and staff can assess it in presenting to us? Because I don't
Either way,
think putting her
I
on an
want
ad
some-
hoc
I want
committee is the
someone-
answer.
I want someone to review the data that she thinks is.
She's alleging
Yeah.
exists, but won't hand over.
So maybe Scott and I and Mike can talk, and maybe that's a suggested way to get through this process. I want to get to the bottom of this so that we can make the policy and in an expeditious manner.
We have though approved her major contention. Didn't we approve at the last board meeting that meetings with the general manager?
Under
would be
number
specified?
28 of the ordinance, yeah.
Yeah, and that was her biggest concern was meetings with the general, so it's now approved, right?
Approved going forward or going backward.
Well, I think Alan's direction and I think my interpretation of it was it didn't specify previously that meetings with the general manager, but under the category of meetings involving district business, that's where we use the general manager.
And my understanding too is every month when the board approves the comp,
Yeah.
in that moment, that month is set in stone as approved.
That's right.
There is no
It's the
going
board's
back.
decision.
Yeah, there is no going back legally and saying, well, now the board today decides the policy of the board of 15 years ago when the board approved it. That doesn't make
It's not-
sense.
It's not, she used the term illegal. It's not illegal. It's a policy consideration. So
It's not illegal.
the term illegal
Yeah.
is off the table. The board makes the policy and the board will refine the policy.
Yeah. And maybe, a reporter is not going to know the nuance of that. It's not as clickbaity, but I think we can stand in that confidence for sure.
Well, I intend to talk to the reporter.
That's great. You can give her my number.
Except her phone number doesn't work
Oh, convenient.
and her email potentially doesn't work.
I agree. I'd like to see some accountability because she is the CAC chair, if she's going to make allegations.
Well, if you can set up a time to meet with her. Check.
Well, I would like another board member to be in the meeting.
She doesn't,
This to me actually sounds
don't
more
think
like a
that-
staff issue, not a board issue. If there's a list to be considered in our item to be attached to an agenda, it should go through staff. This is not, we've decided that we're following the
so it's
policy.
clarification for the board.
Okay.
Can staff reach out to her and say, show us what you think needs to be discussed? And if she doesn't.
To
come up-
ensure it's in the policy.
I'll be blunt, and I know it's whatever. I'd requested a meeting with her and I and Scott when a lot of these issues came up, and she decided not to meet with me. So I'm not sure that's changed in her attitude, but we'll see. I'm always willing to meet with any member of the public.
Okay.
Okay?
So, your interpretation of what Alan said, and I agree with what Cheyenne said, the board has made the decision. The board has approved those meeting reimbursements. And
Yes.
maybe it's a done deal.
Is that your understanding, Madam Clerk? Okay. Anything else? Anything else? This is the world record for study sessions. So we are adjourned.
Jim